This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
And the pitch is swung on, hit the right field, hit deep. Whitefield going back at the track, over his head, and over the wall. Do you believe that?
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Ramirez with a drive to deep right, away back, goal!
Go Hayes! Gets a bomb out there by the Rocks. And boy, oh boy, this third inning is now showtime.
It is a Judgian blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to spin rates to game-changing moments. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us next from the town, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
And good afternoon from the Valley of the Sun, as it's a beautiful day here in Mesa, Arizona. That's right, I said a beautiful day. It is picture perfect spring training weather, and we've got all kinds of A's action for you today on A's Cast Live. And really one of the cool things about what's going on today, I'm just going to stop talking. Just everybody listen. All right, ready? We're not going to talk. You hear the music in the background? Well, they are preparing for baseball tomorrow right here at Hohokam Stadium is it Parker Stadium? Stadium. Let me see. I have the official. Yes, stadium. So right now, you'll see the Jumbotron behind us. They're doing all the graphics. Right now, there's so many people in the stands. They're working on getting the stadium ready as we have baseball tomorrow. It's basically the calm before the storm, as opening day of spring training is tomorrow, as the Athletics will be taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. You'll be able to hear the game right here on A's Cast. That will be at noon, correct?
Yeah, coverage will come on at noon. Games at, I think, first pitch is 12:05.
Yeah, so they're getting it ready right now. Food trucks are down the line. There is maybe we'll be able to turn the camera a little bit later. There is a new section here on the right field berm. See, one of the great things, I talked to Steve Finelli, the head of sales and business operations, vice president of the Athletics, earlier today. You'll hear it later next week in the pregame show. We talk about all the different things that they've done to the stadium. And one of the cool things about moving to Hohokam from Phoenix Muni is most the spring training sites have a berm where you can lay a towel out, you can hang out, take the shoes off, lay out, get some sun. Well, Phoenix Muni didn't have that. Well, that's one of the advantages of moving here to Mesa. We have that. And now the A's have put up down the basically be in right field. It's called the bullpen. It's seating, it's tables. You can have cocktails. You can enjoy food. It's a great section. Maybe we'll be able to turn the camera a little bit later to show you, but they continue to do things to make spring training even better for A's fans when you come down here to Mesa, Arizona. And a day like this, the weather, the sun is out. It's absolutely perfect. And ready for a little baseball tomorrow, as what we continue to do is get you ready for the season, get you ready for spring training, bring you all the players. I mean, our list of players has been second to none. What is the guest list coming up today?
So we'll starting at 12:30. It's 12:30 in the Bay. We'll just do the Bay time because that's where a majority of our listeners are. 12:30, we'll have the skipper, Mark Kotsay.
The first edition of the Mark Kotsay Show.
1 o'clock, we'll have James Kaprielian. You might know of him, Cap.
He was very good today.
Yeah.
Cap, this is a big season for Cap. You know what? I'll expand on that in a moment.
We have Sam Moll, Sammy Spin Rate, as fans might start to know him, as Vince Cotroneo started that, and we told him it yesterday.
He has lied to us.
That's what we heard. Who was it that told us he lied to us?
Scott Emerson.
Emo, that's right. Okay. Adam Oller at 2 o'clock. The Barry Bonds of the Las Vegas Aviators last September into October, Kevin Smith. And former MLB GM and co-host of Power Alley with Mike Farron on MLB Network Radio on Sirius XM, Jim Duquette at 2:30.
My man, the Duke. I love Jim Duquette. If you watch this show, you listen to this show, you know how much I enjoy Sirius XM. Sorry to all of our terrestrial radio a family that we grew up with, but I don't even listen to radio anymore. I just listen to Sirius XM. It's a phenomenal product. And the baseball channel, channel 89, it's just, I'm a baseball guy. I'm baseball, football. So football's on 88, baseball's on 89. Give me a little PGA Tour on 92.
Whoa, don't sleep on your NASCAR guy.
My NASCAR guy, whoever he is, who's a nut job, but I love him. He's at channel 91. NASCAR, I'm telling you, whoever this guy is, I can't remember. We always look him up. I can't remember his name. There's a guy that does. He's like the main host on the NASCAR channel, Sirius XM. He's mad a good host is mad every day. A good host brings it back to himself and is mad and controversial every day. See, now when you're in politics, you can be mad about something every day, like legitly you're mad at the other side, right? You're either a Republican or a Democrat. You're getting mad at what they're doing. I don't know how in sports you can be mad every day being a talk show host, but this guy in NASCAR is mad every single day about rules, about guys who've crashed cars, pit crew. I mean, he's mad every day, and it's like once again, I'm a little ignorant when it comes to the NASCAR schedule, and I know they do some racing or time trials and stuff before the race. They just had Daytona. I know
it's called
that.
Qualifying. That's what they call it.
Whatever they got going, they're racing cars, they're turning left constantly. Whatever it is, he's angry, and he's fabulous.
Is it Dave the Godfather Moody?
I don't know. I think that's it.
It's only him and one other show that's on here.
He's mad every day. I mean, I can't be. Maybe I should be mad every day. Maybe that would get us more listeners, more viewers, more downloads. If I'm just mad, damn it, why is Kevin Smith not every day just going off?
Yeah, every day you find something new.
I think I might do that in the postgame show.
I mean, yeah, that's probably your best form to get it.
Well, I think you're gonna have to realize that I have to get mentally prepared for the postgame show. Now, A's Cast Live. See, that's the thing. The thing that I think our boss and our bosses don't understand is that I literally do 3 different shows a day. Because A's Cast Live is not the same as the pregame show. And God knows the postgame show dealing with the public is not the same as the other 2 shows.
Let's get them ready. 833-625-2278 if you want to call after the game.
I mean, I'm talking anything from players, team, stadium. I mean, it's amazing the things that get thrown my way in the postgame show. And I snap sometimes on the postgame show. So I have to, that's where, where players say they realize that spring's coming. You got to start getting ready physically and mentally. There's like that time towards the end of spring training where I mentally have to get ready for the fight that is the postgame show.
We see you, Greg and Slow, and
oh yeah, they're
Coach.
coming at me. They're coming at me every night.
Bitter Bill.
They're coming. Bitter Bills. It's every night they're coming at me. I got to be ready for that. It's like a prize fight. You know how like Oscar De La Hoya used to go to Big Bear to train up in the altitude for his lungs. Guys will go up into the mountains and train for the fight. It's like I got to train and get ready for the post-game show to get ready to spar with these guys on a nightly, daily basis. People don't understand the fight, but you know what? If they're listening, if they're watching, I just let you callers know I'll be ready. I'll be ready for you.
I'm waiting for my first Greg from Slow. Tony, what's shaking, brother?
And you better and don't be bringing that weak sauce because I'm like Dikembe Mutombo. No. I'll swat your ass away so fast. I'll come after you. I'll bring. I will get angry today. I can't get angry. We're in Arizona. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's snowing in the Bay Area, and here we are. Finally, their sun came out here.
Like you're trying to tell me freaking out. It's snowing in the Santa Cruz Mountains. Come on. It always snows in the Santa Cruz Mountains.
Apparently, it's snowing in Livermore too.
Livermore. I mean. Every single time I've played golf out at Winty Winery in Livermore, it snows.
Well,
we've had snow. It happens all the time.
I think it snowed more in California this year than it did back in Pennsylvania for my family.
No, brutal weather back in the Bay Area. So that's why you come down here to spring training, so you get out of the wet and the cold. We will be returning tonight. James Kaprielian, he is an interesting guy. I like him. Over the years, you get to know these guys. And James Kaprielian, he's been a guy that obviously has been well liked for a long time around here. I know him and Matt Chapman were good buddies. He married Matt Chapman. And James is somebody who's kind of been robbed of his destiny from a standpoint of his body's failed him. It's kind of sad, but it happens in sports, happens in every sport. We're human beings. Guys get hurt. Bodies break down. When you're trying to perform at the ultimate level, things happen. I mean, let's not forget. It's so funny how everybody thinks of Steph Curry and he's one of the greatest basketball players of all time, and Steph's the MVPs and the championships and how great Steph Curry. It wasn't that long ago we were wondering if his ankles would be able to hold up and he could even have a career. It wasn't that long ago that there was really doubt when the Golden State Warriors, and I remember that's when I did a show with my good friend Matt Steinmetz, and Steiny, who had covered all, he was the longtime beat writer for the Warriors, Contra Costa Times, and then, of course, that would be Comcast Sportsnet Bay Area, and then into NBC, he did the Warriors, he did all the writing, and he did the TV work, so Steiny covered the Warriors and still does to this day, but we did a show together, and that was a legitimate question. When the Warriors were giving Steph, and once again, I always like to bring in other sports because it helps you understand a little more, right? Because as popular as the Warriors are, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Steph Curry, there was a legitimate debate on whether to give him an extension, and it was not a big extension, but it seemed like a big extension at the time because you weren't sure about his ankles. You weren't sure. They had to surgically repair him. I mean, he had to strengthen the ligaments. I mean, you didn't know whether Steph Curry could withstand the wear and tear of an NBA season. All of a sudden, he got healthy. Steph Curry wins first ever unanimous MVP in the league, starts winning championships, wins another MVP, then gets the monster extension, and we tend to forget about the past. But the past will tell us we had concerns whether Steph Curry would have a career or not. It was legit, right? So sometimes people's bodies betray them, and they're not allowed to live up to that greatness. Can you imagine if his ankles didn't hold up and Steph Curry never became Steph Curry, how different the Warriors franchise, how different the Bay Area sports scene would be? And that's just, we had that problem with Mark McGwire years ago with his feet. Same problem. Bad feet problems with the Big Hurt. That kind of led to his issues in Chicago, which led him coming out. Frank Thomas, the Hall of Famer, to have one of the best years of his career. As he says, and he said it here on Ace Cast Live, his favorite year he ever had in baseball wasn't in Chicago for the White Sox, which is where?
The South Side.
You sure?
Not
east?
I'd have to check Google Maps, but I think it's South Side.
West is the lake.
Yeah, and the
Lake Michigan, right?
Yeah, North Side is the Cubs.
Are you sure it's South Side?
Yeah.
So Big Hurt said his best year. That's a running joke if you follow our program. The Big Hurt's best year, the most fun he ever had in baseball was in 2006 for the Oakland Athletics. So you see guys who have those issues. Plenty of guys, whether it's football, basketball, hockey, knee problems are one that usually get people. Just happens. So James Kaprielian, drafted out of UCLA, first round by the Yankees, was projected to be a guy that would be, if not an ace, I think you would say when you get drafted, I think he was 15th or 16th, something like that.
Oh, find it for sure.
I think he was 16th, but whatever he was mid-first round. You're projected to be a top 3 starter. That's how they view you. They're going to spend some money and invest in you.
Yep, 16th.
He was 16th. Yeah, I mean, you're not projected to be the number 5 in the rotation when you're the 16th pick in the draft. You're still projected top 3 guys in a rotation. That's how the Yankees felt about him. And then Tommy John, the issues. I mean, the A's don't get him unless he's hurt in that trade for Sonny Gray. And the A's get him, and he continues to be hurt, and he continues to be hurt. And we've seen glimpses We have seen glimpses of James Kaprielian as, damn, this guy can play. This guy's got stuff. He's got attitude. Now, sometimes people take that, especially when you're hurt and you're not always healthy. Some people will look at that attitude and it may rub them the wrong way. You'll never hear that here on A's Cast or A's Cast Live. No, I want that attitude. I want that bravado. You know, he was buddies with Matt Chapman. By the way, how was Matt Chapman?
How is Matt Chapman?
No, how was Matt Chapman?
Oh, how was he what? As in what?
I'm talking about Kaprielian and being a guy that's got a lot of.
Oh, he was a leader, a vocal guy.
But Matt Chapman was
he was the guy. He wanted to be the guy.
And he could be a little
prickly. Is that the word?
He was forceful.
Yeah.
He was the guy. But when Matt Chapman's out there making those plays and Matt Chapman's doing that, you're cool with it. Now, Kaprielian is like that. But if you're hurt, and then it kind of, you know, you can be a little abrasive. You can be a little, when you play well, but when you're not healthy all the time and you kind of have that attitude, people might not dig it. Follow along. But the reality is, for me, I'm never going to have a problem with that. I want my athletes, all of them. I want all 26 guys on this A's team to feel like they're the guy. That every day they show up, I'm the guy. I want that confidence. I want each guy pushing each other. I want each guy, that's the whole thing. It's like, that was one of the great things about Chapman. And, Chapman was a pain in the butt to a lot of people. I didn't care. Guy shows up every day trying to win. I take that guy any day of the week. That's why I never had a problem with Matt Chapman. Right? I never had. Other people might have. I didn't. I'm like, hey, this guy sliding into home plate. Remember when he slid in his face and he's like, he's gamer. Bring it. You need guys like that. Kaprielian is like that. But he's been hurt and he's never healthy. But he's at a point to where, what is he? I don't have the roster in front. Is he 28?
He'll be 29 March 2nd.
So he's 28. This is his time. And I look at all the guys right now of who's got the ability, the mental makeup and the physical makeup to be a 1-2. Not everybody is Greg Maddux, where Greg Maddux just shows up. He's the professor. He's smarter than everybody else. He's more talented than anybody else. And he's a practical joker, and everybody loves him. And he's Greg Maddux. Guy won 355
55.
He won 355 games. He's one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Not everybody's Greg Maddux. Most guys, they're not Greg Maddux. They're more Roger Clemens, Randy Johnson. Ask Bob Melt. You think Randy Johnson was any day at the beach as a teammate?
I've heard stories.
I mean, Kurt Schilling, Roger Clemens. I mean, we even hear stuff about Verlander. I mean, they're no day at the beach. Who cares? It's win day when they show up. That's what I want. We want to win. I want winners, Mike Singletary. So who are those guys? The guys you got to play with an edge. You think Tiger Woods was a sweetheart in his prime? Most guys, they don't talk about it now. Most guys couldn't stand him. I mean, who cares? Guy's a winner. I want a guy that goes out and wants to be the great. I want a guy who wants to be great, who wants to dominate. And I think this is finally, if you're going to hear from James Kaprielian, he thinks it's all behind him now, the health stuff. If that's the case, James Kaprielian is the guy. I don't have to sell it. He was the 16th pick in the draft by the New York Yankees. The New York Yankees have the largest R&D department, not D&D, which we will address Dungeons and Dragons, as Cody is spreading rumors that are false and incorrect and need to be addressed. But the research and data departments, everybody likes to call R&D. That's why I think it's funny. It's like R&D. It's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons. Like, ooh, it's our secret little club. It's R&D. But the Yankees have the largest analytics, R&D, whatever you want to call it. They have the largest and it's of their own, because other teams will pay outside agencies to do it to get numbers. The Yankees, everything comes from inside. They have by far the biggest, strongest. And by the way, who helped them do that?
Billy Bean.
Billy Bean helped Brian Cashman back in the day, if you can believe it. They're buddies, but it was here the Yankees were the best team, arguably the greatest team of all time, the 1998 Yankees. And Brian Cashman's like, hey, man, I need to get us more going where you guys are going. And Bean helped him. But that's where they are. They are the biggest, baddest when it comes to research and development. And doesn't mean anything. They haven't won a World Series in 2009. But so put it this way, a lot have said if the Yankees think that highly of you, it says something, right? And that's the same thing with Waldichuk. They thought so high of Waldichuk, it kind of tells you, yeah, now we're seeing, yeah, we know why. Waldichuk's got a really strong arm. This kid's got talent.
Another guy's Dermis Garcia. They were high on him as well.
Little different because he was one of those guys taken from Latin America where you don't have as much research and data on them.
But you're right about Cap and they like JP Sears too.
Yeah, they believed Cap could be the guy. So what I'm saying is I'm not trying to sell you. If other big time talent evaluators saw it, they saw it out of UCLA, they saw it in him, he can be that guy. I mean, legitly, you look at 3 guys that we have right now who you could say, if everything goes right, could legitly become the dude. That's Kaprielian, that's Waldichuk, it's Kyle Moller. We have 3 guys that legitimately, because you know how I feel about saying an ace. Majority of people in baseball are not aces. Unless you got hardware and you got a ton of innings, Sandy down there in South Beach, that's an ace. Alcantara's that guy, the reigning NL Cy Young Award winner, the man who won me my steak dinner, my bet, the type of, we can do food bets here on the show. We're allowed by Major League Baseball to do food bets. We've checked that out. Sandy, that's an ace. Sandy Alcantara's an ace. Justin Verlander is an ace.
Really going on a limb on that one.
Even at however old he is, he's an ace.
39.
That's what an ace is. An ace is a guy that when he shows up, it's win day, and he's got the hardware to prove it. Just because you're the best pitcher on a staff doesn't mean you're an ace. And people will say, well, that's the ace of the staff. No, he's not. He's just the best pitcher on the staff or the best starter on the staff. You should never be called an ace unless you put up years like Pedro Martinez or Greg Maddux. And I know I'm mentioning Hall of Famers, but that's really what aces are. They're guys that end up being in the Hall of Fame, or they have careers where you could say, Clayton Kershaw is an ace, or was back in the day.
Yeah.
That's an ace.
I think if you look at the division, if you look at the AL West now, the Verlander's gone. Is there really an ace in the division besides? I mean, guys, we're gonna throw DeGrom in there, but
I can't say. To me, I think Ohtani going every 6 days and not even going to sniff 30 starts for me. He's an ace for 21 starts. Okay.
Like I really like. I think Framber Valdez is very good, but I don't know if he's a bona fide number one.
He's got ring. He's got but until he puts up a Cy Young or does X amount of years, he's tracking.
The only guy
he's tracking.
Yeah, the only guy you would say besides DeGrom maybe is Luis Castillo from the Mariners.
DeGrom threw 20 pitches off a mound. God.
But yeah, maybe I think Luis Castillo might be the only one. The Angels don't have one.
Yeah, I forgot about him coming over from the Reds. Huh?
And he was good for them last year.
Good.
Yeah,
well, he's
no Cy Youngs yet, but he's very good.
You know what? I'd call him an ace.
That's what I mean. So you got him and then DeGrom are the only 2 guys in the division. So if you can develop a guy or 2, that's why I said yesterday my big goal is for them to develop an ace.
Yeah.
That's going to be great for them going forward, especially if it's Waldichuk or Moller. They're both very young.
And now Waldichuk and Moller are going to have time. This year is – and you're – did I say it to him on or off the air? I think I said to him on – you're going to see the interview coming up. This is your time. This is your prime. This is James Kaprielian's time. This is it. He's healthy. He says he feels good. He says it's behind him. Let's go. Let's go. I'm happy about that. Where are we on time?
Got a Kotsay in a couple minutes.
I'm in the sunshine. I'm feeling good. I was asked today, how do I talk so much?
I guess I missed who asked that question.
Finelli.
Oh, okay.
Because you know what they do? They see us all morning long talking, and then they see us out here for 3 hours. Say, how do you talk so much? I say, hey, it's what we do.
It's a lifestyle.
Little tea, some throat lozenges, and some honey, and let's go.
Now the sunscreen today too. I mean,
yeah, we had to put on sunscreen today, which was, and I know you might be saying, well, that's not a big deal. If you knew what 2 days ago, 40-mile-an-hour winds. I mean, it was 40-mile-an-hour winds. It was freezing cold. To now putting on sunscreen, it's like now you know why. Now you know why there's a weather channel, and now you know why there's a website, weather.com. It's snowing in Livermore. Weather is always crazy. It's always been crazy. Weather will always. That's why they created the Weather Channel, because there's always snow, high winds. There's always craziness going on in the country. Tornadoes. I mean, there's always crazy stuff.
Yeah, there's been a lot of weird weather going on right now throughout the country. Like with obviously what's going on here in California, there's like record lows in like the Dakotas and through Wisconsin, and then there's record highs right now in the South.
I can tell you, I grew up in San Diego. San Diego's the one place, and even you probably throw in Orange County, weather's pretty much always the same. But everywhere else, summertime, super humid. You go play, whether you're like in Wisconsin or you go through the Northeast, super humid in the summer, freezing cold in the winter. And people look forward to fall and they look forward to spring. I mean, there's always something to talk about with weather. And you're down here in a desert. Deserts get cold. They get super hot and it gets super cold. Deserts are crazy. I was here years ago when we were at Phoenix Muni. I was doing a talk show from the press box, Phoenix Muni, when the cloud came over, and it snowed in Arizona for the first time. Full on like real snow, not like hail. It snowed. The cloud went right over us, snowed, and then went right over to Salt Lake Fields, dumped there. And I remember the news here was about the first time it snowed in 32 years in the desert. But I was here when it snowed.
Yeah, Duquette.
It snowed.
Jim Duquette was telling me off the air it's supposed to snow in Flagstaff. They're supposed to get snow this weekend here.
Well, Flagstaff, Arizona has a ski resort. So
I know, but yeah, he was just talking about how it's.
I think they already have snow.
Oh well,
yeah.
I've never been there.
Yeah, that's northern. They have a ski resort there. So didn't even know that. See, one East Coast guy listened to another East Coast guy. They have no idea what the hell they're talking. I think Flagstaff has had snow. They have a ski resort, for God's sakes.
Well, the more you know now, if you filling in about the ski resort.
Listen to these people from the East Coast is unbelievable. But the great Dan Duquette is going to be here. Jim Duquette.
Cousin.
Dan Duquette.
Dan's his cousin.
We will be offering, we have a gift for him.
Oh, that's true.
We're going to have to get the gift for him. Send it to him. It's a funny story. You'll hear it a little bit later. Are we ready for Mark Kotsay?
Yeah.
Is it time? Yes, it is. Mark Kotsay will be joining us every single week here on A's Cast Live. This is the only place you're going to get him every single week. He may pop up at some other spots, but he shows up here every single week. You're going to hear the advertisement, Nest Betting. You go to nestbetting.com. They've got all your betting needs. Great mattresses. They have a new killer. I got to tell you about the pillow, by the way. They've got a new pillow that's off the charts that everybody's loving. That, you know what, Commander, I got to get us this pillow. It's a breathable, everything's about breathable.
Yeah, my wife's been telling me I need to buy a new pillow for about 4 years now.
It's called the Easy Breather Pillow. New York Times calls it their number one pick. The Easy Breather Pillow by Nest Betting.
I didn't know the New York Times rated pillows. I'm learning so much today.
The New York Times rates everything. And don't forget about their locations in the Bay Area. And when you shop Nest Betting and nestbetting.com, use the coupon code Oakland to get 10% off your entire order. So, mattress, pillows, bedding, you name it, and support Nest Betting. The same mattress
Mark Kotsay sleeps on?
Ricky Henderson sleeps on.
Oh, and Kotsay.
Ricky Henderson, Mark Kotsay's entire family, Mark Kotsay's daughter. I'm not going to mention. Does he mention what college she's at? Because I don't want to.
I think maybe I can't remember if that was on the air. I mean, no, he does. I believe so. Yes, at the end.
Mark, we've taken care of Mark Kotsay's daughter and her friends at her college. So the entire Kotsay family sleeps on Nest Bedding mattresses. Here is the very first edition, 2023, the Mark Kotsay Show, exclusively here on A's Cast and A's Cast Live. Manager Show brought to you by nestbedding.com. Love where you sleep, the official mattress of the Oakland Athletics. Of course, use the coupon code Oakland to get 10% off your entire order. It's the skipper, Mark Kotsay, we're calling this the first shows of the year, so it's your first show of the year. How are you? It's been a while. We miss you.
Yeah, I'm fantastic. Really enjoyed the off season and took a couple vacations with the family that were memorable. And now we're here in spring training and what are we, 8-9 days in, and, we're in the grind.
So for you, what is it like, or what is different in year two?
Well, I think there's a little bit more of a calmness, from last year to this year. Obviously, there's a little more experience, going through what we went through last year as an organization and dealing with all of the change. And, it gives you a better understanding of what to be prepared for coming in. And I think that's helped me, and just in messaging and just in preparation.
Last year was utter chaos because you had the lockout. There was a lot of stuff. Then, as you mentioned, all the trades. You don't get that sense here. And what I get a sense is there's some confidence. And I was wondering, because just knowing you've always had a chip on your shoulder. It's like, do these players, are they going to have a chip on their shoulder coming in, knowing that a lot of people are doubting them, and it's time to prove all these people wrong because it's a reflection on them?
Well, industry-wide, I think, you're right. There's very low expectations on this ball club to compete to win. But that doesn't exist in that locker room. As you talked about, a lot of those guys in that locker room, they do have something to prove. There's been more change in this organization throughout the offseason. There's been more acquisition of talent. That talent is unproven. And whenever you have unproven talent, you got something to look forward to. This year is going to be exciting. There's a lot of young new faces here, and that can have impact on this ball club. And if you reflect back, to our history and the lineage of the A's, pitching being one of them, with when Zito, Hudson, Mulder kind of came up together, they kind of competed together, they kind of fed off one another. And I think we might have that type of environment that we're trying to create here with some of these young arms as well.
No doubt about it. I mean, some of these kids that we're talking to, we just talked to James Kaprielian. Kyle Muller's an very impressive young man. Like, I really haven't seen the stuff. We've heard about it, but just talking to him, the makeup that he wants to be the guy. He's already said, I'm done with the minor leagues. I'm here to be here. I mean, he's got that confidence. I want that confidence. A guy that had that confidence was this guy right here back in the day. I mean, you got a lot of confident young arms. I think you have to be excited about that.
Yeah, no question. Anytime you've got young arms and you can see that confidence in them, you got to be excited about it. And, for Kyle, for Ken Waldachuk, for JP Sears, for Adrian Martinez, for Luis Medina, who's walking by right now, another young talented arm that was acquired last year. You see the upside and you see the potential, and now it's time for them to go out and prove themselves at the major league level and do it consistently every day or every fifth day.
And then I think you have to be excited about the back of your bullpen when you add May, and you got a year now under the belt of Jimenez and Jackson. You start seeing how you can finish games. Now that you've got to see it, how do you feel about it?
No, yeah, great. Obviously, we haven't seen May in a game, and we've seen him from the other side.
Yeah.
And, you described him well. He's a competitor, wants the ball in high leverage situations. For Danny Jimenez, who, unfortunately didn't get to finish out the year, but, throughout the course of the season when he was healthy, he closed, I think, 11, 12 games for us. And you could see the ice in the veins, and, those big moments he didn't shy away from them. So there's other names in that bullpen down there that had tremendous years for us, that were young, that got their feet wet. And now you just look for that continued growth. Zach Jackson, is a name that comes to the front of my mind when we talk about young players taking the next step. Success he had last year, can build off that. Domingo Acevedo, 70 appearances last year out of our bullpen.
Amazing, by the way.
So all those names, you just start, you get excited about
Sammy Spin Rate, Sam Moll.
Yeah, Sammy Moll. Another year under Kirby Snead's belt that, he can build off of. He finished the year great. He had some ups and downs throughout the course of the season, but he never wavered, always wanted the ball. You got to love that about those guys.
Now, I talked about this a lot yesterday when, for years we've been called the swinging A's. And I kind of want to change some T-shirts and call us the running A's because I'm starting to look at how the team's been built. I'm starting to think of these pitch timers that we're seeing all over the place. I'm thinking about how many right-handed pitchers have horrible moves, and they only get to do it so many times. And I'm thinking as a base stealer, when that clock starts hitting 16, 17, I'm gone. I mean, are we going to become the running A's?
Well, I'll tell you this. I don't want to correct you, but I have to because once it hits 16, it's a ball. Well, runners on base, you get 20 seconds or 15?
I'm talking with
You're right. Okay. So, yes, with runners on, you get 20 seconds. So, yeah, when it's counting down to 2 or 3 seconds left on the clock.
Wouldn't you as a player being like, I'm gone?
You're pretty much rolling into it. And we've talked a little bit about using the rolling lead. When it gets down below 5 seconds and you're walking, you got some momentum towards second base. I mean, it's – we're looking at Jesus Aguilar maybe getting a bag this year, right? So wouldn't that be something?
We told Shea Langoliers we expect 2020 out of him this year.
I don't want Shea running that much. So.
Seth Brown, 30-30.
Yeah, there you go. And I'm sure Seth is probably fired up about it. So Mike Aldretti could probably steal 20 bases. There he is.
Seriously.
There he goes.
I think it's going to go back to when we were kids. We were used to seeing Ricky Henderson with, over 100 or Vince Coleman or Tim Raines. I think you're going to get guys that once they realize, man, this is a big advantage, we could get 80, 70. I mean, that'll be the super high end, but you'll get a bunch of guys that get 20, 30. I think the game's going to change.
Yeah.
And that with all the athletes you have, because the days of us being home run walk team, there's going to be some guys, but I think we got to change a little bit. I think running's going to be a big strength.
I do think the game may, lean towards more aggressive base running, more aggressive, attitudes in terms of attempting stolen bases. It's proven through the data in the minor leagues that when they implemented these 2 disengagement rules, and in the minor leagues it was a little bit different because they had 2 disengagements, but it was per hitter. So even if the runner stole second, you didn't get a reset of your disengagements. The major league level this year, we're going to get a reset if the runner advances, right? So a slight adjustment to that, but no question, and through the data in the minor leagues, the stolen bases increased, I think, over 10%. So you're going to see some more running. From standpoint of our lineup, we got some sleepers in our lineup. You're going to see some size to our roster this year. Some guys that have the ability to make this ball club that, haven't been here. You think through some of the names, the simple names. Ryan Noda's a kid who's a Rule 5 that's going to get every opportunity to make the roster. We saw a little bit of Dermis Garcia last year with the potential to hit for power. Jesus Aguilar is a big guy. He's got potential to hit for power. Rooker, who's a new acquisition through the offseason, outfielder. He's got a chance to hit for some power. So there's power on the roster, and we might, hopefully surprise some people.
Defensively, are you better?
I think it's tough. I mean, you look at last year and the corners and the inconsistency of a guy every day at first base. You look at third base. We went from 280 defenders, right, in Chapman and Olsen to a vastly different, set of defensive skills, and it showed last year. But my expectation is that we do improve defensively, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I started looking at the team and the veteran guys you've added. You got a lot of versatility. How big is that going to play for you?
That's something that we talked about last year, and that the roster is constructed with versatility. Acquisitions of Aledmus Diaz and Jace Peterson. Both those players can play the outfield. They can play all 3 infield spots. So it does create some more versatility. You got Tony Kemp and Seth Brown back, who both can play the infield, second base for Tony, and left field for Tony, and Seth can play all 3 outfield positions and come in and play a nice first base. So there is a lot of versatility on this roster.
Is the best thing for you as we'll start playing games, knowing that you're going to have tough decisions, and that's a really good thing, right?
Yeah, it's definitely good. It talks about the depth of the roster, and those decisions will be made. Obviously, we're evaluating everybody on the roster, and I think it's a competitive camp. And like I talked about, even with the pitching competition, even amongst yourselves, can be a great thing. Creates a winning atmosphere. It creates a mentality of grind and grit that we talked about a lot last year. And those are all the expectations on this club from my standpoint and watching them play the game. And we're going to play good, clean, fundamental baseball, but we're also going to play hard.
It's that old iron sharpens iron. Let's end on this. For you, is there anything that you've thought about for yourself, changes-wise, that you want to see from yourself into year 2 here as a manager?
Well, I think the biggest thing for me, is understanding. I mean, we've had some change on the staff. Our bench coach is Darren Bush, who's been, with this organization for 18 years. He's a great baseball man. Brad Osmus stepped away, who, I enjoyed having on my staff last year. I took a lot away from Brad. And, going forward, I think it's just the consistency of the communication, and just being positive. Even though there's stretches that you go through, where you beat yourself up, which I've done, last year. I'm going to try to stay away from beating myself up a little bit and stay away from the shingles and everything else. So.
You are hard on yourself. I mean, it is it, but you know what? That's kind of the fun part of the job, right?
It is.
That
the challenge.
You're the guy.
I'd rather me being the one beating myself up than the players. The players they go through a lot of failure in this business, in this sport, and I'm very familiar with it. I looked up at my career batting average and thought I was a way better hitter, and realized, oh man, that wasn't very good. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, we're going to stay positive. We're going to keep working. We have to be patient as well, but we're going to watch this thing develop in front of our eyes, and I couldn't be more excited about it.
The first Mark Kotsay show of the year, brought to you by nestbedding.com. Love where you sleep, your mattress, your pillows, your bedding. You go to nestbedding.com. Use the coupon code Oakland to get the deal on your order. How is your nest bed?
Nest bedding's been great. Daughter in college, she's really enjoying the nest bedding, and couldn't be happier.
First show of the year.
There we go.
Can't wait for more. The great Mark Kotsay right here on A's Cast Live. I love doing that. Because one of the things about, learning to do the show, interviewing Mark, I mean, God, I go way back with him. I played against him in college. I covered him. And the interviews over the years from a player, then working for the A's, and now to the manager, Mark Kotsay doesn't hide anything. He doesn't hide anything. That's just not who he is. He's not wired like that. What you see is what you get with Mark Kotsay. And he wears those emotions on his sleeves. He's got that chip on his shoulder. He's just wired that way. And I'm excited to see where he is in his second year as a manager. Who's coming up at 2:00?
That would be James Kaprielian.
Okay. Coming up next, reflection is always interesting. And I don't think we've reflected enough on what happened and how there's going to be a change. I'll explain next. And it has to do with Mark Kotsay right here on A's Cast Live.
Oakland Athletics spring training is right around the corner, and you can be part of the excitement. Get your tickets now and plan ahead for a fun-filled trip to Mesa, Arizona this spring. Pack the sunscreen, bring your friends, pick up some ballpark classics, and watch your green and gold get ready for the regular season. Get your tickets today to see the Athletics take on the Giants, Padres, Cubs, Dodgers, and more. Tickets are on sale now at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
It's that time of the year. Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2023 season. Don't miss out on securing your tickets for some of the biggest matchups, fireworks, drone shows, giveaways, and more. Visit athletics.com/tickets to get yours now. That's athletics.com/tickets.
Is J.J. Bleday ready to play at the Coliseum? He explained his enthusiasm with Towney on A's Cast Live.
Get ready, because you're going to hear the drummers. Yeah, our crowd gets wild, especially when we start winning, and you're going to help get us back on track. Next thing you know, they'll be making posters of you, T-shirts of you. Our fans go nuts. Are you ready for some? You ready for more like of a college football atmosphere?
Chris, I've been born ready for this, man. I'm really pumped up for this opportunity. I think it's going to be great, and I'm going to go balls to the wall every day to give everything I got to help this franchise and put those fans in the stands, because, I mean, you guys have been making playoffs almost every 4 years, and that in itself is a success. That's hard to do. That's not easy, and that speaks to volumes of the front office and doing their best to kind of put the best product on the field every night.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
Chevron with Techron has unbeatable engine cleaning power, and it gives you unbeatable mileage for all kinds of unbeatable destinations, like time in the sun at the beach, or time in the sun riding roller coasters, or a day in the sun hiking mountains. Well, probably just one mountain would be enough for a day, but hiking a mountain is still an unbeatable choice for how to spend time. Download the Chevron app now to get unbeatable mileage at locations near you.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
If you're looking for the latest green and gold gear for the 2023 season, then look no further than athletics.com/shop for your officially licensed gear. That's athletics.com/shop.
Super agent Scott Boras joined A's Cast Live with Towney and discussed the success his clients have in Oakland.
And if a lot of our fans don't know, you've had a great relationship with David Forrest, even a better relationship all these years with Billy Beane and the Oakland Athletics. So as we joked, you're bringing Mount Fuji to the Bay Area. He wants to be called Fuji. Just why is he a great fit?
Well, by the way, I always tell every fan, I knew Billy Beane when he could run. Billy Beane could run. So he really could. This guy was a great athlete. He really was.
Yeah.
But the dynamic of Centauro is that he's got a big arm. He's always had a big arm. And the question was his command. And this year he developed a splitter. And by throwing a splitter in his arm slot, it allowed him to gain more command of his four-seam fastball. And by having those two pitches, he became dominant the last few months in Japan. And then I give credit to a few teams, particularly the A's, for scouting him. The minute that he was a free agent, they called us. And as I said in the press conference today, we've just had great success in this organization by, we bring Cole Irvin, we brought Frankie Montas, we've had Kaprielian come here from the Yankees. Every pitcher that we've brought over, we also represent Blackburn. So every pitcher we've brought over here has succeeded. So we kind of feel that this environment is a place for players that we believe are coming to and coming into themselves to really ramp up and develop in the major league.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
The Oakland Athletics begin spring training on February 25th. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Buy your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Dodgers, Padres, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium.
And Tony, it's a deep drive to right in the corner. Gritchick going back. He'll turn and watch it fly.
Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
Streaming from the East Bay, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
A cool thing that we're getting texts right now from Johnny Dasco, who is going to be joining us every spring, just about every spring training game, Monday through Friday. I'm not talking about the play-by-play. He'll be doing a lot of play-by-play, but for us, we'll be doing the pregame 2 hours before first pitch. And right now, he is going around the ballpark, finding areas where he's getting good cell reception and that he can join us on video on our pregame show to get you ready, A's Cast Live, for the games. Because it's one thing to do it from the press box, but I was thinking about this last night. It'd be cool with all the things that we got going on to have kind of Johnny, whether he's down in the dugout, down the right field line, left field line, on the berm with the fans. Pretty cool.
Yeah. Us, we're looking for the coolest location and the best spot where it comes service-wise. And some of the videos you sent were great. And I'm looking forward to having Johnny on to do a little pregame since we're not going to be here. Johnny will be here, so he can tell us what's the vibes at the ballpark.
Well, boots on the ground, and you can see fans, right? I mean, if you're just in a press box,
yeah,
and all I get to see is like Vince Cotronio's chips in the background. I mean, that's not. I mean, I want to see people. I want to see fans. I want to see A's fans.
Yeah, we saw plenty of Vince and Ken this week already. Ken Korak rolled up to us at like 8 in the morning.
Big leagued us. I mean, big leagued us.
Comes up at like 7 he comes up at 8 o'clock in the morning
in his sports car.
You guys come up. You guys are just getting going now. I already went to the gym, worked out, and had breakfast.
So basically, we're in the parking lot, right? Getting ready to we've loaded the stuff up. Ken comes up in his sports car and just basically goes, "What have you slouches been doing? I've already been worked out, ready to go." And we're like, "Wow, we're just getting going." I mean, Ken literally big leagued us in the parking lot.
I mean, Ken's day was practically, he's just like, well, I can just go back and, well, no, he told us he'd see us at the ballpark, and then he never came to find us. He big leagued us.
He big leagued us. He basically, you lower Ken Korak is the new Jeffrey Lunau. He basically called us lower level employees in the parking lot and pulled away in a sports car.
In my very long conversation with Jim Duquette before we talked to him earlier, I was talking to him and we were talking about something, and I said, I don't know these things. I'm the lower level employee, and he started laughing. And I was like, yeah, Jeffrey Lunau calls his guys like that. I consider myself a lower level employee, and Duquette was laughing about that.
I wonder who could we get that could give us an honest assessment on Jeffrey Lunau. What is this guy? That might be more for us off the air. I don't think our fans, probably a lot of our fans don't even know who Jeffrey Lunau is. He is the evil human that ran the Houston Astros, and basically, I don't think we ever see him in baseball again.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I thought that
he's a bad dude.
There were rumors floating around that whenever the Astros got rid of James Click, that Jim Crane could bring back Jeffrey Lunau. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to happen. Baseball's not going to let that happen.
No.
So yeah, I think he's kind of done. Although, hey, the guy from the Braves was suspended for the rest of his career, and he's allowed back in baseball. So,
and no one's hired him.
Still early. Still got a chance.
Nobody's hired him yet. So until that happens.
Plus, he's still a lot younger than Lunau.
Oh yeah, that guy's in his 30s. Lunau's a different bird, man. Yeah, wow. But that may be more just our interest than our fans' interest. I mentioned about looking back at last year, because, you live in the moment, right? And it's why it's important that every offseason, every sports organization, it doesn't matter what sport you're in, takes time to sit back, breathe a little bit, and look back at the year and what happened. And I think we've gotten a little bit of a new perspective from people who lived it last year. And, you can talk about it. I don't think fans want to hear too much about it. But last year was rough from the standpoint of, we had labor strife. We had a lockout. And then that lockout ended, and what happened? Well, you had popular players immediately traded. That put a bad taste in everybody's mouth. You were breaking up a team that went to the playoffs 3 out of 4 years. And the year that they didn't, they still won 86 games. You broke that up, and it pissed everybody off. And it was a bad vibe. And you had all these players, and you knew the team wasn't going to win. Last year's camp was a bad vibe. And here you have Mark Kotsay, who's got to help pick up the pieces. He's the new manager. It's a new regime. much like the old regime, but it's the new regime. And he's left having to pick the pieces up, and he did that. And I think this year's different because now that's not the case. Time heals, and now it's a new camp. It's a new start. And you've got veteran guys that are coming in here that are trying to continue their careers. And then you've got a bunch of players who are now trying to make a name for themselves. None of the guys that they have brought in are guys that weren't something somewhere else, if that makes any sense whatsoever. For example, yesterday, if you watched, we had Ryan Noda on. Ryan Noda was the prospect to be the next first baseman for the Los Angeles Dodgers. Now, is that a big deal? Let me tell you something. I've wanted to get into this because I thought, just reading this great article from our buddy Bob Nightingale in the USA Today talking about, no one's given the Dodgers a chance, but here's a reality. The Dodgers have won at least 104 games in 4 out of the last 5 years. You want me to read that again? 104 wins or more in 4 out of the last 5 years. That's never been done in the history of baseball.
We were going over their team last night and how we don't think they're going to take a step back.
104 wins in 4 out of 5 years. That's insane how much they've won. They've won the West 9 out of 10 years. The Padres, everybody's kissing the Padres' butt. The Padres, they haven't won a division title in 17 years. Since Bruce Bochy was there. They've only won 5 division titles in their history. I mean, the Dodgers have owned that division. And this guy, Ryan Noda, who the A's got, was supposed to be their first baseman of the future. But what did they do? They went out and signed Freddie Freeman. Well, you go out and sign Freddie Freeman, you've now blocked Ryan Noda. And Ryan Noda told you yesterday here on this program how excited he is to be here because he's got an opportunity. But you talk about the LA Dodgers, who have been one of the strongest overall organizations. Here they are winning 104 games or more, 4 out of 5 years, and still rated one of the top minor league systems. Andrew Friedman has run that as a well-oiled machine. So we're getting, as the A's down at the winter meetings take Ryan Noda in the Rule 5 draft, we're not getting some slouch kid from the Dodgers. We're getting a guy who is going to be their first baseman of the future before they sign Freddie Freeman. Once again, if Freddie Freeman does not sign with the Dodgers, and let's say he actually took that deal with the Braves, there's a good chance that you would have had Ryan Noda get an opportunity to be the starting first baseman for the LA Dodgers. Now, if I say this guy could have been the first baseman for the LA Dodgers, a team that won 111 games last year, now you start to realize I'm not talking about a kid that we're just taking a flyer on. The best organization in baseball thought he was something, and now we got him.
I'm excited about it. I'm excited about him. I just looked up and I wanted to check his numbers from last year in AAA and AAA Oklahoma City. He had 25 home runs, which is great. He stole 20 bags. Is this another 2020 guy we can add? The Shea Langoliers and Seth Brown have competition.
Well, you know who's got competition? That's Dermis Garcia. Dermis, when Dermis Garcia came up last year, we said, okay, this guy at one point was a highly regarded prospect for the Yankees. Now, making the Yankees lineup, like we've talked about with Waldichuk and Sears, it's not easy to do. They couldn't put him on the 40-man. He became available. He was kind of a bonus baby. I want to say Dermis Garcia signed for around $3 million out of Latin America. I don't know. Is he Dominican? Or is he from Venezuela? I'm not sure where exactly he's from.
3.2 million.
God, you know what? You at least could say you were right. You're going to shortchange me for $200,000. I feel like I work for the Rays.
I was going to say, or the Brewers.
Wow. You're going to skip me for $200,000?
You
don't know what we're talking about. These arbitration cases, the Rays are fighting people for $200,000. And
the Brewers fought their ace for $700,000.
$700,000. I mean, come on.
I mean, a Cy Young winner, not some guy that had a good year. We're talking about a Cy Young guy.
The Disney deal just gave you an extra $30 million each. Every organization just got an extra. You really going to go to arbitration for $200,000? We did look up the meltdown analytic. It is real.
It is.
It is real. It started in it shut down. It's only on Fangraphs. Explain what we're talking about, the thread you sent me.
So Ryan Thompson is a pitcher for the Rays. For the Rays, and he was trying to justify what happened and tell everyone what happened.
No.
Not justify, but he was trying to.
He was explaining
what happened in his arbitration case. He
prefaced it with saying that the Rays were on the up and up, and it was just business. He wasn't upset about the So we're not throwing the Rays under the bus. We like the Rays. We're friends with the Rays people. So don't. I just want to make sure you're not putting words in his mouth. He said it was on the up and up. He has no problem with the Rays.
No ill will towards them. He was just explaining what happened and breaking down what happened in the meeting, and then he mentioned this meltdown statistic that we had no idea what the heck it was.
Nobody does.
I even asked Emo about it off the air yesterday. He goes, "Well, I'm going to go look this up now." And yeah, it's a real thing. I forget who the leader was. We looked at the leaderboard yesterday.
It came about in 2011. Nobody knows what it is. It's shut down and meltdown. It's based off win probability.
Yep. That's what the great Ray Jensen told us yesterday. It's based off that.
It's based off, which I kind of like because win probability added, right?
Yes.
WPA, if you look at it, it's kind of like the New York Stock Exchange. Everybody gets a little abbreviation. Win probability added is basically a great way to explain it that I read. And I read this a while ago. So if I'm not 100% correct, but it's like when Joe Carter in Game 6 of the World Series against the Philadelphia Phillies came to the plate, the Toronto Blue Jays were down 1 run, and there was a runner on first. I don't remember was it Alomar was on first? I don't remember who exactly was on first.
Yeah, I don't remember either. I remember the home run, obviously.
But at that point, the win probability was in the negative for the Blue Jays and in the positive for the Phillies, right? Phillies, closeout inning, World Series. Mitch Williams was on the mound. So at that point, as we see percentages, the percentages were in the Phillies to win the game. They were in the plus, Blue Jays in the minus, right? At that moment in time in that game. But all of a sudden, Joe Carter hits the home run. The Blue Jays now win. Series over. Would have been Game 7. World Series over. So that negative probability, because it's now all over, went to 100%. So because you hit the home run, you now win, your win probability obviously just changes. It's math, right? It's percentages. So you were being 1 run down with a runner on first and Joe Carter at the plate. You're still a negative win probability. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm actually looking at it right now. It was actually a 3-run homer.
Was it a 3-run shot?
Ricky and Paul Molitor scored.
There's your baseball history. Ricky and Paul Molitor were on. So they were down 1 run, right?
They were down 6. They were down 6-5.
Okay, they're down 6-5. So at that moment in time, the odds are the Phillies are going to win.
Yeah, and I think they have win probability here on
It's
baseball.
odds, man. It's like we want to act like we're not gambling in Vegas, but this is basically what we're doing. The odds are we would be betting on the Phillies to win because they're the favorites at that point. But once Joe Carter hits the home run, it's over. Obviously, it changed the percentage. The percentages go to 100%, and then they're up. So the bottom line, this is what this metric is, this analytic, right? Shutdown versus meltdown. So the shutdown is I come out, I'm on the mound. The odds are I get out of this. So if I get out of it, I get plus percentage points.
Yeah.
And I get credit for the shutdown. If I give up the run or I give up runs, let's say they're my own runs, it has nothing to do with ERA, but whether it's runs that I inherit or runs that score, I lost percentage points because I gave up those runs. Now I lost the odds, and I'm now in the meltdown category.
4 guys tied for the major league lead with 17 meltdowns. They were Brad Boxberger, Griffin Jacks, old friend Jake Diekman, and Tanner Scott, who was with the Marlins.
I get it, but we need to explain what the thing is. If you pitch a lot, like Domingo Acevedo pitched 70 times last year. right? He had 70 appearances. So he's going to have shutdowns. He's going to have meltdowns. We have it's ridiculous stat. It's a ridiculous analytics. But the Rays went and found it and used it against, because the arbitrators are bozos. They're like these lawyers who don't really even know that much about baseball. So the Rays dust off this analytic from 2011 to use, and they end up winning the case, and they saved $200,000.
Yeah, all of a stat that no one had any idea what it was until a few days
No one
ago.
even know. If we went up to the A's front office right now and said, all right, we're going to grill you, boys. I want to know every one of our pitchers' shutdowns and meltdowns. What's their numbers?
I know one. I only know one of them because I looked at it. I know Acevedo's.
No, I'm just saying.
I know, but yeah. But
you think our front office would be like, what are you talking about?
No, they're not. They're not looking at that.
They would say, you A's cast guys, get the hell out of here. You're morons.
They're looking at RA9 and all that stuff.
No, they have their own numbers.
Yeah.
They have their own scientific numbers now. Front offices don't even look at these sabermetrics anymore. They don't. But the Rays did to win a case.
Yeah. I would love to know what. Oh, remember the Brewers told Corbin Burns is because he was the reason why they didn't make the playoffs. Smart.
We will get into that with Jim Duquette coming up here. Arbitration needs to be changed. It's really it's an archaic. Oh, I've blown past Kaprielian.
Yeah, it's okay. People are hanging around. They're waiting for Cap.
Enough of me and enough of your meltdowns. Cody on this trip. Ray, Karate Kid, how many would Cody be in the negative for meltdowns on this trip? Oh yeah, he'd be in the negative. Cody melts down pretty quick. At one point our Wi-Fi wasn't strong enough. It was windy. He melts down. He would be the meltdown leader in Major League Baseball producers.
Yeah, but I also have a lot of shutdowns too.
You do have shutdowns, but I'm just saying, if you were the leader of a country and you had the missile, the panic button missile, we would have World War III. I'm just saying. James Kaprielian, I talked earlier. I think this is a big year for his career. Who's James Kaprielian going to be as a Major League Baseball player? I think you really find out this year. I sat down with him earlier today. See ya. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be out here. It's good to be around you guys and the rest of the staff and the boys and get this thing rolling a little bit.
And really the first day where we have sun and it's warmth and it's going to be a good day for practice.
Yeah, it's always a lot easier on us being out here when it's sunny and it's beautiful out right now.
So I know something that you're tired of being asked, but we got to ask you. How are things with you physically?
Things are good. We took care of what we needed to take care of. Still working through the process a little bit, but I think I'm right where I need to be, and excited to face hitters here soon.
So when you start thinking about start of the season, do you think that's still a goal for you?
Absolutely, that's 100% the goal. Obviously we don't want to rush, and I'm going to do my best to listen to my body, but right now the way that the training staff has mapped things out, working backwards, I should be, if all goes well and things are feeling right, should be ready to go.
Yeah, I can't wait for the day we don't talk about that, because we've talked about your career from UCLA to the Yankees to here, and what I think and know you can be, what you want to be. I say it all the time on the show. James Kaprielian wants to be the dude. Yeah. You want to be the guy. Every 5 days, it's win day when you take the mound. You have that mentality. You have the stuff. It's just unfortunately things have set that back. But I know deep down that's who you want to be.
Yeah, I appreciate that. It's I do want to be the guy, but I want 4 guys next to me to be the guy. That's ultimately the goal. Is we have a staff that that continues to push each other and compete with each other, and we want 5 guys who go out there and take the ball, and any single day that they go out there, the rest of the team goes, hey, we feel like we got a good chance today. But especially on days when I'm pitching for myself personally, you're right. I take pride in wanting to be that guy and be a leader for the staff and help this team win.
When you think about all the outings that you now have had in Major League Baseball this offseason, when you think about it, the successes, not so successful, what do you think you need to improve on to get you to where you truly want to be?
I think continuing to polish my game in a lot of areas, but honestly, it's just filling up the zone, attacking guys. I'm not going to give too much credit to these guys. I think in the past I've done that. I'm going to go up there and make them beat me. And, that's really what I want to do. If guys beat me, sometimes you got to tip your cap. They drive nice cars too.
The opposition gets paid too.
Yeah, they do all right. But, I want to go out there and just be myself. And I think that's one thing I've learned is just continuing to be myself, not trying to be something I'm not. myself is plenty good enough. And when there's days where I don't have my best outing, take a look at it, don't necessarily dwell on it, continue to move forward and realize there's always, plenty of time to make up ground for maybe not my best start.
Some of my favorite games for you is when, I'm not going to say you were angry, but there was a lot of intent. And you've come out and gone, today fastball. And you attack early with fastball. There's been games where the secondary stuff's coming, but you've played a lot of fastball early and had success with that. Am I seeing the right thing?
Yeah, I mean, I like going after guys with the fastball. Like I said, I'm just continuing to learn about myself and the percentages I need to have on each pitch and what's, going to be and has been most successful for me at this level. It's a learning process, like I said, but the last 2 years, I think I've been able to, have enough data out there where I'm able to, kind of look back and see what has been effective for me. And I think this year, those first 2 years are behind me now. It's kind of time to go. I got to go do what I'm capable of.
When you think about all these arms, a lot of people nationally don't know about all the arms that you have in that clubhouse. But the more that we're down here and you talk to guys, there's a lot of confident young guys. Just talk about, they may not know it, but there is a lot of talent in that clubhouse.
There absolutely is. And that's okay. We hear and see and read what everyone says about us, and it's okay. We're okay being the team that pulls out, guys out of the stable in the pen out there and bringing in a big arm. And I think, there's a lot of young guys like you're saying, but I think a lot of these guys are going to be able to, put guys and put teams on notice, and it's going to be fun to watch. I'm awfully comfortable, whoever I'm handing the ball to in the bullpen, knowing that next guy is going to get the job done. And I think the more experience and time these guys have had at this level and stuff, myself included, I think it just becomes a little bit easier and able to, make the in-game adjustments faster. So it's going to be good. We got some new arms coming in too, and it's competitive and it's fun. And that's what you want. That's how you elevate a staff. That's how you elevate a team. You bring in as many good competitive guys as you can. You compete against each other and you polish each other's game. And, we're continuing to learn from each other. I'm learning from younger guys. I'm learning from older guys. I'm learning from guys who played in Japan, from Korea, whatever it may be. You know what I'm saying? So we're all continuing to get each other better. And, I like where we're at. We're just going to continue to work and do what we do and play A's baseball. What
was the cool thing or big thing you did in the off season that wasn't baseball related that helped you get your mind off baseball?
I got to take a trip with two of my best friends, which was pretty cool. We went over to Europe, kind of a trip we've been talking about since college. So, once I had a little gap in my life, we were able to go out there to Barcelona and Lisbon, Portugal, and Porto, Portugal for about 8 nights total. So not too long of a trip, enough to go, get away from the rest of the world. But, it was nice to go out there and experience, a little different culture, a little bit different world, and, come back to America and, enjoy getting back to work.
And it also kind of resets you when you come back. It's like you went, you had your good time, you enjoyed it, you bettered yourself as a person seeing the world, but then you reset and go, okay, now it's time to start getting ready.
Yeah, I mean, day like 7 and 8 of their 10 days total there, I'm like, all right, like I'm getting itched, like I got to get back. I want to start training again. I want to, get ready to start playing catch. So it's good. It's refreshing. And that's also something I'm learning. You have to be able to, separate yourself from the game a little bit. I love this game so much, and I find myself consuming in it so often, or finding new things I want to do or work on. But, that's another thing I've learned over the past 2 years is like, I got to have time to, step away from the game, refresh my mind, go play golf with the guys, whatever it may be. And, when you come back into the clubhouse, it's a lot easier to go to work after you get that little break sometimes.
Well, I can tell you, and I think you're all right with this. We got high expectations for you.
Yeah,
we think you can be that guy, and we're hoping this season it will be that. So continued success, stay healthy, and next time we see you, we'll be in Oakland.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it for having me.
There you go, James Kaprielian, and I'll stand by it. I think he has the makeup. You got to have the makeup. Let's face it, everybody's got stuff. As your friend Eno Saris would say, stuff plus.
Talk to Eno on Monday, by the way.
I was actually texting with our national baseball columnist Eno Saris from The Athletic today about the Albert Pujols. Just let me know when you want me to start ripping on the Angels. Just let me know. I've got a whole thing on it.
Well, we did a little bit of it yesterday, but
yeah, I got 2 punching bags. I got the Angels and I got the Astros. Whenever you want me to go off on the Angels, I did. This This is comical. Like the more I started thinking about it, because I got up early because Commander wanted to get here super early, and we had to check out of our hotel. So I've been up early thinking about stuff. And one of them is Albert Pujols. You might think about I think about how to rip the Angels when I get up in the morning. I brush my teeth with the Angels because I can't stand them.
I thought I was waiting for you to be like, I brushed my teeth with the rally monkey. I'm like, don't know if my wife's going to appreciate that.
No. Yeah, we'll get the rally monkey going again, but I can't wait to rip them a little bit later in the show. But that's the thing. It's like all these guys. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're in Arizona or the Grapefruit League in Florida. I mean, name a team. We could go into the Tigers camp. We could go into the
Blue Jays.
Guardians are here. Blue Jays, Rays, Marlins, Braves, Red Sox, Yankees, Phillies, Orioles. Who else is there?
Nats.
Astros.
Pirates.
We could go into any of their camps. You're going to find guys that throw in high 90s to 100. You're going to find guys that got nasty breaking stuff. Everybody's got it. Everybody. I can go into colleges. I can go in the SEC, Big 12, Big 10, Pac-12, and find guys who are nasty. Mountain West, Big West, you name it, I can find guys everywhere. There's talent everywhere. I can go to the Dominican. I can go to Venezuela. I can go to Japan. I can go to Australia. You can find guys with stuff all over we're a world game. It's a globe game. But what is the one thing guys have trouble doing, even though they have all this stuff that everybody rants and raves with radar guns and high-def cameras and TrackMan and Rapsodos and all this technology we have to show all this greatness? What's the one thing all these guys with this great stuff have trouble doing?
Putting it together?
Getting people out. Yeah. Follow along. You have to get outs. How many outs do you need to win a game?
27.
We have problem getting outs. I don't know what it is. I can look at a kid. Oh, we love filming these bullpens, don't we, at the beginning of the year? Oh, Fuji threw 40 pitches. We watched.
Yeah, we were there.
We were there. We saw Fuji yesterday over at Fitch, the Lou Wolf complex, throw to hitters. Ooh, Grady Fuson, A's great, the super scout, the legend, was here yesterday. So, the reason why we had two lefties first that he faced, because we didn't want him to face a righty right out of the gate. That's kind of information. You're not going to get that on MLB.com. You get that here on A's Cast, the inside. Fuji wasn't facing righties right out of the gate.
What
was that alarm for?
Look, even the volume's turned off.
Why is your phone ringing?
We gotta go to the airport.
Cody is a panic airport guy. I'm not a panic airport guy. We've checked in. We're already A's. We're ready to go. Cody's like worried we got to leave now to check our bags in for a 7-hour. We're 7:15 flight. And he's like kicker panic in a fantasy football league. He's got airport panic.
I panic more for defenses.
So, yeah, you got inside yesterday. If you didn't notice and you didn't listen, Grady Fuson told you, yeah, we're not having Fuji face right-handers right out of the gate because we want him to get comfortable. So they had him facing just lefty batters. And people take videos of it. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. But here's a guy that throws 100 miles an hour with a split. Can he get people out? We don't know yet. Scott Emerson, the pitching coach, hitting is timing. So if hitting is timing, pitching is disruption of timing. Can you get people out? Everybody thinks you have to throw hard. I don't know. Greg Max didn't throw 100.
No, I mean, we got a guy on the staff now. Paul Blackburn doesn't throw hard.
Tom Glavine won 300 games. He didn't throw 100.
No.
You have to be able to get outs. Do you get outs? That's why if you're Jacob deGrom and you throw 100 with the nasty slider and you only go 5 innings, well, I got 4 more innings to cover. I need outs. Can you get me outs? We are so enamored with all of these guys and their physical gifts, we forget to ask the question, can they get anybody out?
Yeah, how many guys? We've seen so many guys over the years that throw hard but don't get anybody out.
You may not care about pitchers' wins, but can we win the game with him in there? Because last time I checked, winning and losing is still the most important thing in the sport.
Still is. I remember.
Take your XFIP and shove it. I want wins.
A good example of that a couple years ago was Brusdar Gratterall. Remember, The guy throws 100 plus, but
in
he
the
couldn't
2020 playoffs, he was the next closer of the future.
Yeah, and the guy can't locate half the time.
You're no good to me. If you can't get people out, I don't care if you throw 130. What good is it if you can't get people out? And that's where we are. And James Kaprielian, to me, is a guy that has the mental makeup. Getting back to why I started with this. Yeah, I can throw you. I can find you a bunch of throwers. There's a lot of guys out there now. Every college has guys throwing high 90s now. This is not something new. This is now dime a dozen. Hard throwers are a dime a dozen. So are Tommy John guys. A lot of people throw into the radar gun. What I don't have is a lot of pitchers who get outs. I don't care I don't care what your spin rate is. I don't care what your velocity is. You can baseball savant me to death. Do you get outs? Do you get outs? Ken Holtzman won so many big games for this organization. It's a joke. He would not have been your kind of guy because he basically had two pitches, fastball, changeup, but he would change the velocity of his fastball. He had the A fastball and then the BP fastball, which acted like a changeup, but all he was doing is just disrupting timing of the hitters. That's what he did. He pitched, and he got outs, and he was done in 2 hours, and he won big playoff games and World Series games and got the hell out. He was a pitcher. I need guys who can get outs. I think Kaprielian can be this guy. And I love it at times when Cap goes up there and goes, you know what? First time through the lineup, this is my fastball. Because even though Cap doesn't throw 98, his fastball plays. It plays. It gets on hitters. He's got stuff. The question just is, can he take the ball every 5 days? How many starts? And because if you can't give me starts, you can't give me innings, you're not the guy. He believes he can be the guy. I think he can be the guy. This is the year to prove he can be the guy.
Yeah, I think it's a big year for him. Remember, we always talked about last year the streak of never going into the sixth inning, but
yeah,
I think this is a year where I think we can hopefully start seeing him go deeper in the games, because then it kind of gets away those questions of, is he better off just being a middle reliever, a long reliever, because he can't pitch deep in the games. But if he's back truly healthy, and you can see some of the form of what the Yankees saw coming out of UCLA, when he did throw a little harder, he did throw in the upper 90s when they drafted him, but he doesn't do that anymore, and he's going to have to learn how to throw with lower velocity. But I'm expecting him to maybe.
I see plenty of guys throwing 97 with 5 ERAs.
Yeah, so is velocity, and you know what? Let's just see all your huffers and puffers. Let's just see once we have the pitch timer where velocity is in baseball. Let's just see. That's going to be fascinating because their guys aren't going to have as much time in between to catch their breath, because I think
especially for starters, you're in the 4th or 5th inning and you got to deliver every 15 seconds. You're not going to be able to. And we talked to Vince Cotroneo today about some of the little secrets that they're planning on, like where catcher's holding the ball. Oh, it's scuffed up. Let's throw it out, because he's trying to get his pitcher some more time, because every 15 seconds he's gassed. The umpire's got to step in and go, nope, let's go. Start the timer. Stop throwing the ball out. Stop. So you and your era of velocity honks, where all you care about is strikeouts and velocity, hopefully is going to change. And I get some pitchers back.
The guy to watch this year, I'm interested in him, is Hunter Green from the Reds, who throws 100. Literally, he threw like 300 something pitches over 100 miles an hour last year. I don't think that number gets anywhere.
What was his ERA? By the way, what was his ERA? Young man out of LA is a good story. What was his ERA? Mr. I throw over 100 miles an hour, former first-round pick. He was the first pick in the draft, right?
He was second.
Second.
He was 5-13 with a 4.44 ERA.
What was that ERA?
4.44.
But he throws over 100 miles an hour.
Oh, but people go, he has a lot of strikeouts.
He throws over 100 miles an hour. He's got a 4.4 ERA. How's that possible? His ERA should be under 2 if he throws that hard. If you tell me velocity is the end-all, why isn't his ERA better?
Yeah.
He was the second pick in the draft. He throws 100 miles an hour, and you're trying to tell me how great he is with velocity, and he's got an over 4 ERA in the Great American Bandbox.
If he throws hard, how come he doesn't get guys out?
He's the greatest hitter in the world. Well, ask Brad Pitt playing Billy Bean. If he's such a great hitter, why doesn't he hit? Well, this guy is so great, and these velocity guys are so great. Why don't their actual numbers show it? Why aren't they win day guys? Are you a win day guy if you got a 4.4 ERA?
No. Not at all.
I you know what? I think our sport's going to pivot. I think there's going to be a pivot. There's going to be a pivot with the running game, with the new rules. The new rules are going to change baseball. Everybody is saying it. Now, to the degree of how it changes is debatable. You know, Mark Kotsay said, stealing up 10%. Dave Roberts, I heard Dave Roberts on Buster Olney's podcast. I think it was Buster Olney's podcast.
Yeah, it was. But incentivizing runners.
Dave Roberts said, I'll believe he thinks stolen bases will be up. Hey, Dave Roberts was built on stolen bases, one of the biggest stolen bases in the history of baseball. Dave Roberts says, I think the jump will happen when front offices start paying guys to do it, which I think is going to happen immediately in the first year. We're going to see, whoa, stolen bases, run scored. Let's get guys doing it. But whatever. The game is going to change. Everybody agrees, right? And one of the pivots is going to be, hey, man, you got to throw the ball every 15 seconds. If you don't throw strikes and we're speeding the game up, you know how like things can spiral in a good way, but they can also spiral real quick in a bad way? I got a feeling that when things start going bad for a pitcher, what do pitchers do? What do human beings normally do? And what are we trained to do when things start not going our way?
Panic?
No. We're supposed to breathe, relax, and slow it down. That's what they tell you. Psychologists will tell you that. Mental coaches will tell you that. I got the great Karate Kid Ray Jensen agreeing with me, right? What do they say to golfers? Professional golfers are really, because you talk about a mental train wreck sport where guys can become train wrecks. Golf's a great example. When you start hitting it all over the place, what do they tell you to do? Slow it down. Slow your heart rate. Slow your mind. Slow it down. And what are we now saying in baseball? Speed it up, speed it up, speed it. So that is going to be interesting. And I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this. I'm able to speak on this because I admit I was a little bit of a mental midget as a pitcher myself. And I kind of see myself as if I struggled with control at times because I was trying to throw so hard because I was trying to live up to what Cody's people wanted was pure velocity. Well, all of a sudden, once you lose your release point and you're out of whack because you're throwing too hard, you need to slow it down. Well, how can I slow it down if I got to deliver a pitch every 15 seconds? So I think when guys start spiraling out of control, it's going to be panic on the mound. And you're going to see guys going, because, hey, it's time to deliver the ball. You don't have time to, I'm telling you right now, how many times have you seen in Major League Baseball a guy struggle where he steps off the mound, deep breath, puts his glove here, and he starts rubbing up the ball?
That happens a lot. They can't do that anymore.
Right, folks? I've now thrown 3 balls in a row, 2 balls in a row. I just walked a guy. How many times? I come out and I walk a guy. Guy goes to first base. Now as a pitcher, I get up on the mound. I throw 2 balls in a row. And now everybody goes, ooh. How many times have you seen the pitcher take his glove off, put it right here, step off, and just rub to gather himself? Right? Because that's what a mental coach would tell you to do. Slow the process down. Slow it down. Get your heart rate down. Breathe. Breathing's a big thing for people who have anxiety. What do they tell you? I've never had anxiety. Well, I did when I knew I never studied for a final and I had to go in and guess my way through and wing it. But that's probably the only time. Anxiety, school, and that was my own fault. You're somebody that's had anxiety, right?
A little bit here and there, not too much, but yeah.
And then you use breathing?
Yeah, well, I'm a big meditation guy, so breathing's huge.
Okay, well, do you meditate in 15 seconds?
No.
Do you bring your heart rate down in 15 seconds?
No.
Do you do anything in 15 seconds?
No.
With mental health, no one will tell you. And remember, we're now really delving into the mental game of sports more than ever before, and mental health and anxiety and depression and all these different things. And they tell you when things are going bad, breathe, relax, find your breath. I'm not telling you anything that you probably haven't heard before, but it's true. This is what they tell you. I'm telling you, though, you don't have that time anymore. I'm not putting my glove down and rubbing the ball and, boy, man, I can't find the plate. This isn't good, but don't worry. Fall back on my training. Those days are over. You got to get on the mound and you got to throw strikes. So, Mr. First-round draft pick that throws 101 miles an hour, you're walking the yard and that timer's constantly going. Guess what that's going to be in your mind? Panic. You got the panic button? Let me tell you what it's going to be on the mound coming up in Major League Baseball. Nobody's talking about it. You're going to hear it first. This is what's going to be playing in the minds of pitchers who have lost their release point and they can't step off and gather themselves. It's going to be, and everybody in the ballpark's going to know it. PitchCom's not going to save you. Your catcher's not going to save you. Your pitching coach coming out to talk to you is not going to save you. There's nothing to save you anymore. There's no time to gather yourself. There's no time to reflect. There's no time to breathe. There's no time to rub the ball up. You've got 15 seconds. Oh, boy, there's a runner on first. Now you got 20. These dudes were taking over 30 seconds per pitch. That's gone. And you know what? Another thing that Vince Cotroneo told us, because they all met at Chase Field where the D-backs played, and we're going to get a baseball official.
Maybe it's confirmed. Dan Otero is going to be on with us Tuesday.
The great Dan Otero, former A, is going to join us, who's working for Major League Baseball, to go over the rules in our second pregame show of the season. A's Cast Live will be your pregame for spring training. So, essentially, you're going to have 20 seconds with a runner on, or you're going to have 15 seconds with nobody on. Hitters have to be in the box and engage looking at the pitcher in 8 seconds. If not, it's a strike. And they're telling everybody, I don't care if Mike Trout doesn't like it. I don't care if Shohei Ohtani or Judge or who you want at Bryce Harper, even though he won't be here until midseason, but you name it. Machado, name a hitter.
Nando.
Freeman, Betts.
Giancarlo.
He'll be hurt.
Buxton, Correa.
Arenado, Goldschmidt. Buxton will be hurt.
Correa,
I don't know. The x-rays, they might have to amputate his leg after what those doctors are saying. But anyway, you're getting ours. They got all these guys that you can't big league. You have to be in the box and looking at the pitcher engaging, because what they don't want you to do is be barking and moaning at the umpire, and then you step in with 2 seconds left. Nope. 8 seconds. You're going to have the pitch time. The hitter has to be in the box. Look at least. You don't have to be like this, but you have to be looking at the pitcher with 8 seconds, or they're calling a strike on you. So no one gets a chance. So I'm telling you, this is going to affect pitching like you wouldn't believe, because this isn't the minor leagues. This is the big leagues. This is the third deck. This is the stadiums. This is television. This is a whole different ball game. Major League Baseball actually on the field feels fast. Even though we as fans think it's slow, on the field it feels fast. We're going to speed it up. And I think there's going to be anxiety. I think there's going to be, when you lose your release point and you start to not know where it's going, and you, especially at breaking balls, you throw a couple breaking balls in the dirt and you lose confidence, man, you lose confidence and have less time. You lose feeling and have less time. That's going to be Panic at the Disco, man. I know that's a band.
It is, yes.
Panic at the Disco. Everybody's going to be freaking out, and I can't wait. Remember, you heard it here first. You're going to see meltdowns, true meltdowns by pitchers on the mound because they can't gather themselves and they can't throw strikes and they've lost their release point, and no one's going to save them because the clock is always ticking. And now, Mr. Huff and Puff and blow your house down, throwing 98 to 101 miles an hour, he's got to figure out how to throw strikes. And it's going to change the game. And what happens if you got a bunch of people stealing on you at the same time? How about that? You're out there panicking, throwing strikes. You're not even paying attention to the running game. So what are they going to do on the bases?
Steal.
And now everybody's taking 90 feet on you. This game, no one's talking. What I'm saying, have you heard from anybody else?
No.
They may have addressed it a little bit, but I'm telling you, it's going to be full-on panic out on the mound. And that's why I think what I said to Mark Kotsay, I'll say again, we need to be the running A's, and we need to create that havoc. We need to be creating havoc at all times. People need to come into series against the A's thinking these guys are going to run all over us, and it's, oh, my God. Because most right-handed pitchers, especially power pitchers, have horrible moves to first base. They don't like throwing to first base. They just want to get up there and strike everybody out because people like Cody have told them that's all that matters. Controlling the running game, they're not good at it. They haven't been taught it. They've been taught just to throw it and blow it by everybody. Well, if they don't know how to hold runners, take 90 feet. Take second. I'm Ricky Henderson. I'm taking second. I'm taking third. I'm stealing 90 feet. More 90 feet I take, the more runs I score. That's how the A's win this year.
I really want to see I want to see them. Now, I'm not saying 341 steals like 1976 Oakland A's when they were the running
Why
A's.
not?
If they could do that, that'd be great.
Why not?
I mean, Billy Norris stole 75 bases.
I mean, if we start adding up, right, I mean, we've joked, but Shea Langoliers, he has the ability to steal 20 bases.
Yeah, we told him that. He also he bumped me in the locker room, and I told him in the clubhouse. I told him 25 now. He's a guy. Seth Brown's another one. Tony Kemp. I mentioned earlier, Ryan Noda stole 20 bases last year and hitting 25 home runs. Estuary, or I'll let you say it. How do you say his name?
Estuary Ruiz.
He stole 86 total bases last year.
Now, you might hear it differently. That is the Spanish pronunciation. Yeah. I have been told from Izzy.
Yeah, Isabella.
Izzy, Bella, or Isabella. She has all these names, and she is the great person that you see on the field before the games telling everybody what to do. She gave me the pronunciation.
Yeah. Who else?
So if I'm wrong, blame her. And she got it from Ruiz, so I'm getting it from the source.
I mean, Nick Allen isn't slow. Maybe he could steal some bags too. It's not like I don't think the A's will be anywhere near the bottom. And so like last year,
it's a travesty.
Oh, look, see where the teams where the A's ranked amongst teams and stolen bases.
Hey, tell me how many stolen bases the A's have last year?
That's what I'm going to look up.
Because I just went 13 times 20. Does anybody know what 13 times 20 is off the top of your head?
Yeah, 260.
I didn't. I went to my calculator on my phone. It's 260. So I just want 20 stolen bases from each guy. What is that?
Well, 220 from each guy.
It's 260. What did we have last year?
I'm getting there. Hold on. The A's had 78.
Now remember, what if Ruiz goes off for like 60, and Ramon gives you? I'm just saying, on average, if all 13 guys, and there's going to be up and downs, and if at the end of the year, the 13 guys that played the position, because you only there's 26 guys on a roster, the 13 guys that were here at any given time by the end of the year, everybody averaged 20. I'll give you 260.
Yeah.
Why not? Running A's. I'll go on record. I think we're foolish if we don't think we're going to be running. I think we're foolish. We're absolutely foolish, and we're not taking advantage of the rules. We're not taking advantage of these pitchers having to make adjustments they don't like. I think we're foolish. I think we should be green light, get your track. You're not wearing spikes, you're wearing track shoes. We're going to run people into the ground.
Yeah, the team, do you know what team led baseball in steals last year?
Yes, Texas Rangers.
Correct. Them and the Marlins. The Marlins were 1 and 2.
Yeah, run, baby. Run. Why would you not take 90 feet?
The Minnesota Twins stole a major league low 38 bags last year.
I'll tell you something. Moneyball and home runs and walks, your team's not built for that. I know Mark Kotsay likes to say, we still got some guys that get the ball to the ballpark. Okay. Well, when they start doing that, that's great. Until then, until we see consistent home runs, I need to see guys running.
I mean, I have it. Brad Pitt infamously said in Moneyball.
Another thing, no more stealing.
That's what I do. That's what you pay me to do.
No, I pay you to get on first, and I get thrown out a second.
Well, Brad Pitt, you're wrong. We're paying you to steal second, and we're paying you to steal third. Where are we?
Next up is Sam Moll. Sammy's spin rate.
Sammy's spin rate has got some explaining to do. Because supposedly he does know all about his spin rate, but according to him yesterday, he does not. But he had a pretty good year last year, and he is going to be big for the A's bullpen. Here is your bearded left-hander. I believe you haven't heard Sammy's spin rate.
it's pretty impressive at this point that I haven't.
We've been talking about that all since last year. And I mean, it's a fitting, right? You definitely got some spin rolling.
Yeah, it's something that I don't even know how it's come about. Obviously, technology has advanced, and I haven't ever done any mechanically things to manipulate that. So it's always something I've just somewhat been blessed with.
So you don't think about it?
Not at all, no.
Yeah. Isn't that funny how, like, the world of baseball has changed so much that we can go to Baseball Savant and we can follow every one of your pitches and we can see everything that's going on with it. And you're like, that's just what I naturally do.
Yes. Sometimes I surprise myself. It's honestly sometimes I try to compete with myself, see if I can beat another one. And it, nothing that affects pitch quality, but it's just interesting, something to keep up with, and obviously something to try to utilize.
When you think about your year last year, I think you had to go into this offseason thinking kind of mission accomplished. You had a really good season.
I think I exceeded my expectations coming into spring training last year. I don't know if I really had any expectations for where I may fall as far as roster wise. Just try to come in and put my best foot forward, and I think I did that, and just continued to build off experiences up there.
When you think about in your career, I mean, every single year you've been in baseball, bullpens have started to eat up more innings than every year. It's been a record every single year since you've been playing. So what has that been like, watching starters go less and you guys in the bullpen take more of a responsibility for the volume of innings?
I would say it's been a little more challenging. You certainly, early in the season, you're trying to figure out everyone's role. So at that point, you're trying to figure out when I need to be ready, which on the earlier side of the season, could be, you wouldn't want it to be early as far as, the fourth or fifth, but you always want to be prepared for that. And so when you didn't have roles early on, it made for a little bit of, more preparation, more time to get ready, and at least before they call your name, that way you are ready. But like you said, it's, bullpens are eating up more innings. So it's just, it's more value for us. And we take that to heart.
There's no doubt, and it definitely helps you guys out, and you guys want to compete. But at some point, I remember Domingo Acevedo just walked by. I was like, God, he had 70 appearances. The guy went from 10 appearances in his career to 70. I mean, that's a lot of volume going on.
It is, and, he's, Acevedo's a horse. He was last year. We're hoping, he can do the same thing this year. We're all hoping we can contribute a little bit more and get some excitement there.
I think your bullpen's going to be a lot better. What do you think?
I believe so. We got some guys back from injury, including myself and Jackson and Danny, and if I'm missing anybody else. But I think if we can keep that core strong and healthy, I think we'll be successful.
You bring in May. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, you now that, as you mentioned, Jimenez and Jackson learned how to close, really got their chance in the big leagues. You now have a slew of guys you could say, yeah, he could close a day, or he could close a day. Legit options.
100%. Yeah, and that's always a good option for.
You could close.
Yeah, I've tried to a couple of times. This time, hopefully this year I can get the first one done. But yeah, it's a lot easier for Kotz to be able to, manage a bunch of guys in the bullpen that can do the ninth inning, and it makes it a lot easier for him. And we're hoping to do that for him. How
important is it as a left-hander to be able to say, I can get anybody out, and the rule stating that you got to be in for 3 batters? Right. I mean, because I can imagine if they just said you can only get one style of guy out, that upsets you.
Yeah, 100%. You never want to be handcuffed out there, and you never want, people thinking that you are handcuffed when it comes to, different batters and lefty and righty. But for me, hopefully this year I can incorporate a changeup I've been working on, and that would mainly be to, help throw another weapon to a righty.
No.
So, we'll see how that goes.
It's always that if you don't have a look away from a righty,
right,
he can start always looking in,
right,
especially if you're always coming to breaking stuff.
Right.
It's that other, it's change that people talk about all the time, and I know Scott Emerson talks about all the time, hitting's timing, pitching's disruption of timing, just giving him a different look away, even if you're not throwing it for a strike, just so that he sees something
100%.
else.
Just puts in the back of their head another, tool that I can go to. Just because I have the highest spin rate doesn't mean I always can get away with it. There's obviously times where I make pitches that are not as quality as I'd like, and it doesn't really matter how fast it's spinning or how slow it's spinning. So obviously quality of execution of pitch, and then like you said, disrupting timing.
Sammy spin rate. I mean, we could make T-shirts. I mean, we could get the fans out in right or left field can make a poster out of that.
I hope so.
I'm kind of digging that.
I hope so. It's a first time for me hearing it, and I really like it.
Let's end on this. You think there's going to be some moments where you got to be that veteran and help out some of these young pitchers, because you got a lot of young kids in there?
We do, and I think collectively as a bullpen, we can definitely help each other out. I mean, if someone needs to or needs help, or if I'm very approachable when it comes to that, and I enjoy talking pitching, so I definitely would help somebody out.
Well, we appreciate the time. I know it's a little chilly out here. Thanks for coming out. And,
Alrighty, no problem.
Can't wait to do this again in Oakland.
Alrighty, thank you. Appreciate it.
Not today. My God, it's picture perfect. Today is well, it could be a little hotter because we're like high 60s right now.
Yeah, something like that.
But like if it was like 72, 75-ish, it would be a little better. But today, we'll take it after being really cold. By the way, I did not know this, but we actually have games going on right now. I pulled it up on my computer. The Mariners are beating the Padres right now. They share a complex in Peoria. Not my favorite. 3-0. Manny Machado is the very first guy who didn't get into the box and engage in time. Ha! It's a strike. You got 8 seconds. With 8, when the clock, you got 15 seconds when nobody's on. The pitcher has a pitch, or 20 seconds when somebody's on. But by the time the clock hits 8 seconds, batter's got to be in the box, engaged, ready to rock. If he's not, they're going to call a strike on you. Manny Machado, can you play it?
I don't have it. It was on Instagram. So it was someone Instagram account that shared it.
It was on the gram.
Yeah. There was something else from Manny Machado today, too. Apparently he was on 93.7 The Fan, maybe. Or they might have, yeah. He said, it's obviously, let's talk about his opt-out. It's obviously a hard decision for me and my family, but it's not about myself or anything. He told Ben and Woods on 93.7 The Fan.
Wait, what? Say that again?
It's obviously a hard decision for me and my family, but it's not about myself or anything. Some people might say he just wants some money. No, we love San Diego. We have a home here. We love the organization, blah, blah, blah. Apparently he blamed it on inflation is why he opted out. Let me see if I can find the quote that they use. Where's it? I'm sorry, I'm still looking because I saw it pop up on my phone earlier and I didn't get a chance to look at it.
Wait a minute. He said it's not about him.
Yeah, but it's not about myself or anything.
It's not about myself or any. You opted out of a guaranteed $150 million. That's what was left, right? I'm not hating on Manny, by the way.
Let me see.
I understand the economics of the game. I understand lesser players were just offered more money. Now, he agreed to a contract, but because the Padres gave him an opt-out, it's his right on pro player. I mean, we have contracts, right? You have a contract that was offered. The team and the player agreed to it. In that contract, there is an opt-out, so you have the right to opt out. The team agreed to that originally, so he has an opportunity to opt out. He has an opportunity to look at the guys that signed around him this past year who are lesser players than him. Manny may be a pain, but Manny's a baller. We've known that all the years in Baltimore. Manny is Manny Machado's an amazing talent.
Yeah.
I wish I had Manny Machado's talents. So Manny Machado had the right to opt out. Has the right to opt out after the season. He says he's going to. Same thing DeGrom did last year with the Mets. But there are optics to it. And when you say that this isn't about me, myself, it's not. Why can't you just own it? Be a man and own it.
Here's more. This is the quote where he mentions about markets and stuff. But at the end of the day, sometimes business is business. And I think it wouldn't be in my interest if the market has changed in 5 years. And in 1 year, it's changed. You see it in life. You see it in the real world. Let's take away baseball. The price of eggs is how much? It's just life. Things change. A lot of things change. Ultimately, the markets change, right?
He's right. The market has changed, but using real life, eggs are up like 37%. Using eggs and everyday things that people need to survive and take care of their families is just flat out wrong. As people struggle with inflation is affecting all of us at the gas pump, at the grocery store, baby formula, stuff that people need for their children. To equate that with you turning down 150 million guaranteed is just flat out ignorant.
And the number one,
and one reason, it's stuff like that that makes you fall back to say why people don't like Manny Machado, because it's just dumb. Why would you? You've already made over $100 million off the Padres, plus the money you made from the Orioles. So Manny Machado in his career has made over $100 million. He has $150 million guaranteed after this. He's going to say no to 150, opt out for a new contract. That's fine. That's a business of baseball. But then to equate it to everyday life that we all have to live with payments and rent bro, figure it out. And, those guys, and just knowing, once again, we live in a baseball culture where everybody's like so stoked and everything's so great. They don't have the cojones to go, Manny, why are you going to, and I would, if Manny was an A, I would say, Manny, it's kind of hard to compare the everyday person who's trying to survive versus you turning down 150 million. Now, I agree you have the right to do it, and I do the same, knowing I could get more. But to say you're doing it because of inflation, because what your wife goes to the grocery store and can't afford eggs on the over 100 million you've already made?
Yeah, it's a bit odd.
That's a bad look, man. And it makes people go, yeah, that's why you don't like Manny Machado, because he puts his foot in his mouth again.
By the way, the number one headline on ESPN.com, time is up. Machado commits first clock violation. Manny's all over the place today. Not for good reasons.
And by the way, what if Manny Machado gets hurt this year? Will he still opt out?
I mean, what was he? I mean, I don't think it's going to be the second time in 2 years a guy's done that.
I mean, what happens if he gets a bad injury? Not rooting for it, but let's say he gets a bad injury. Can the Padres go, no, you said you were going to opt out. We're going to take this money to sign Juan Soto. See ya.
I mean, I guess they could, and it could happen. But Manny really has been injured, so he's been pretty lucky. But
Manny's been a baller. Manny's a baller. Manny was he runner-up or his third in MVP balloting? I think he was runner-up.
Yeah, I think he was. Who did win the MVP?
Goldschmidt,
yeah. He was a good player. Manny finished second.
Yeah, man, and Manny, we talk about all the time, the best ability is availability. What does Manny Machado do?
He plays.
He shows up every day ready to rock.
Played in 150 games last year, 153 the year before, 156 in 2019, 162 in 2018. He's played in every year of his career except for 2014. And you don't count the pandemic year, he's played in over 155 games.
I mean, I would put it this way. Manny Machado is going to be 31. They just signed Xander Bogaerts at 31. I mean, it's not even a question who I'd rather have. Xander Bogaerts or Manny Machado? Are you kidding me? Because we already know Xander's not going to play shortstop very long. He's going to have to move somewhere. And they may want Machado to leave. I don't know. They take that money to sign. So I don't know. It's the Padres. I don't care. But I take Manny Machado over Xander Bogaerts long term. I take Manny Machado over Trey Turner long term. Who else am I missing out there? I take him over Nando and his circus. There's a lot of guys.
What about Soto?
I take Manny over Soto.
Soto he wasn't very good last year.
Man, Soto walks a lot. Give me Manny Machado. Manny Machado carried the Padres last year.
Yeah, he did. Trying to think if there's anyone else they've had over that. No, those are the big guys.
I'm talking about who else signed last year. I'd take him over Correa.
Oh, yeah. What about Judge?
No. But not apples to apples.
Yeah, no.
Because Judge is an outfielder.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the infielders. And Soto, you mentioned because they're on the same team. But I'm looking at the guys that signed infielders.
You take them over.
I'm taking them over Correa. I'm taking them over Turner. I'd take him over at shortstop.
Yeah.
Manny Machado still could play be a terrific shortstop.
Yeah, you're taking him over Dansby Swanson.
Totally. I'm taking Manny Machado over any of those guys.
So, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other major free agent infielder that signed last year.
Trey Turner, Bogaerts, Swanson, Correa.
Yeah.
Those are the big four.
Yeah.
I take Manny Machado over all four of those guys.
If we want to go back 1 year, would you take him over Seager?
Totally.
Yeah.
I think Seager's overrated.
Oh.
Overrated.
Well, defense isn't good. That's
He's
for sure.
terrible defensively, and now you can't hide him in the shift. So watch that war go, whoop. Can he hit? Yes. Can he stay healthy? Don't know. Is he bad defensively? Yes. Would I have given him $300 million? No way. By the way, we talked about how good the Dodgers are at talent evaluations. Who's the one guy that went?
From the Dodgers? Bellinger? Seager?
You just don't follow along. They just told Seager, beat it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They didn't even negotiate. If he was so good as the World Series MVP, the NLCS MVP, you thought they would have rolled out the Brinks truck for him. If you're going to tell me the Dodgers are so good at evaluating talent, by the way, they've won 104 games, 4 out of the last 5 years, they've won at least 104. If they're so good at signing players, retaining players, and having a farm system, it's them, the Astros. You look at these teams that are so good at it, and they basically didn't even make an offer to Seager. What does that tell you?
Yeah, I guess they weren't very high on him. Plus, he was injured a lot. And then they did the same thing with Cody Bellinger.
And who was desperate just to get anybody to take their money?
The Rangers. And then they signed him.
I'm not, by the way, whatever is cooking right now smells delicious.
Yeah.
Is that brisket or
Yeah,
ribs?
it's something, yeah.
It's some type of barbecue. Ray, if you find out and they're selling, I'm buying. Go find out what they're cooking. I'm telling you, Ho-Ho Cam right now getting ready for tomorrow. They're smoking something.
Yeah. It's going to be a good time. Game 12:05 tomorrow.
Smells delish.
12:05 Pacific, 1:05 here in the Valley, Mountain Time.
Yeah,
It's Snakes.
I'll go on. I think Seager is highly overrated.
A lot of people think he's going to be better this year without the shift.
No, you have one guy, Himbo, who has said he's going to be great. I haven't heard anybody else.
There's been articles written about the guys who lost numbers in the shift. The hits to the
Find
shift.
me the article that's about Corey Seager.
Oh, well, no.
You won't. He's overrated.
Hebo's the same guy that said Yelich was better than Trout.
You said that, not me. My good friend Himbo, fly Eagles fly.
Yeah.
I will not go against Himbo from ESPN. But yeah, I put it this way. I don't have to go to DSR or UZR on either Fangraphs or Baseball Reference to know Seager wasn't good defensively. And now he's going to have to play short without the shifts. He's really going to get exposed. So you better hit way more home runs and drive in way more runs, or his WAR will sink.
Yeah, what was before we get to Adam Oller, what was Corey Seager's WAR last year? Corey Seager in his first year, he had a 4 WAR. He did hit 33 home runs. He hit 245 though. Hey, you know how I am. 119 OPS plus. That's 19% better than league average.
You're paying over $30 million for only 19 points higher than the average guy.
How many bases did he steal last year?
He had to. They all did. They were a running team.
3.
He didn't. He stole 3.
He has 15 career stolen bases.
How many of those 33 home runs were solo? It's not his fault. Oh, yeah? I'm sure he came up with a lot of guys in scoring position.
He's also going to be 29 in April.
He's overrated. What did Scott Boras do? Scott Boras went out and found a desperate owner. Did anybody notice that after Marcus Semien, who we love Marcus, but after Marcus Semien and Corey Seager signed their contracts, that not only did the manager get fired, but John Daniels, their longtime executive, got fired? They cleaned house. So they signed these guys to guaranteed money to $500 million and saw what they were getting and went, now we're firing people. Was it all those 2 signings? No, but they definitely played to it. Rangers signed 2 guys for $500 million and were terrible last year. What about the pitching? So what'd they do? Oh, good luck. Went outside DeGrom. Like you're going to get 30 starts from DeGrom? No.
38 over the last 3 years. I looked back and looked. Seager finished third in the MVP voting in 2016. The guys that finished ahead of him, Chris Bryant, and Daniel Murphy, Nationals legend Daniel Murphy. Seager that year hit 308 with 26 home runs and drove in 72. How was he finishing behind? How was he finishing ahead of a guy like Arenado who hit 41 home runs, drove in 133 and hit 294? I know it's Coors. Those numbers are way better.
Hey, a few years from now, when we're sitting here doing the show and Seager's like 32, 33 with a lot of years left on the contract, let's look at those numbers. Let's look at what he's doing. What position is he playing? Because you're signing these guys knowing that they're not going to stick at shortstop. And then all of a sudden, you start looking at his numbers as a non-shortstop. What's he going to be, a third baseman, a first baseman? Now, I mean, if you're going to give me like 25 home runs and 70 RBIs as a third baseman, we're not going to go goo-goo gaga with your 238 average and 25 home runs.
Yeah. I don't think he plays shortstop long term. Maybe
where does he go?
Maybe he becomes a first baseman down the line.
Oh my God! Now, if you're giving me 238 with 25 home runs at first base, I'm now.
He's a big guy. How tall? He's tall, right? Is he like at least 6'3"?
Scott Boras found a desperate owner. And by the way, does Corey Seager put butts in the seats?
6'4".
Do I like, as a resident of Arlington or Dallas or the Metroplex as they call it,
Fort Worth?
Do I hear Corey Seager and say, "Oh, I got to buy season tickets"?
Probably not. No.
So, have I talked you into overrated?
I always thought he was. I'm just saying. I'm reading. I'm going off what Hembo said because he did the research.
That's what I'm saying. Well, yeah, I know you mentioned it, and I'm saying you're going off Hembo. No one else is saying it. I'm saying overrated. I will be proven right on that.
We'll see. We'll see how he does. I mean,
first year.
Yeah.
Bad defense, hit 238 and had a bunch of solo bombs. Is that great?
No, for a team that wasn't very good either.
What do we got next?
Adam Oller.
Ooh, Adam Oller. Interesting. Would we call him the swing man of the Oakland Athletics? Can start, come out of the bullpen. I don't know if he'll start the season in AAA with Fran Reardon, but he will start games. He will be able to come out of the bullpen for you, and he did get better as the season went on.
Yeah, he did. It was good to see.
He went up and down, but then he started to figure it out.
Yeah, it was good to see because he was he was the other big name in the trade for Bassett, and fans wanted to see him pitch, and we got to see him pitch, and he figured it out a little bit towards the end.
Well, Adam Oller joined us here at Ho-Ho-Cam Stadium, and here is the bearded right-hander. Here on A's Cast Live, Adam Oller here on the field, Ho-Ho-Cam Park. It's been a while. How was your off season?
Oh, it was great, man. I spent it in Houston. My family lives up in Tennessee, so I kind of split time between the two. But it was great, just first off season, I didn't have to work a third job, so that's nice. And yeah, it was good though. Spent a lot of time with friends and family and training and just enjoying life in Houston.
I remember when we did the interview last year at spring training where you really didn't know, right? You were here. We were talking about what you'd done with the Mets and, things are good here. You're getting opportunity, but you didn't know to where we are now. It's a big difference in your career. Just talk about that difference. You talked about not having to get an extra job, but there's a whole lot of difference in your career right now.
Yeah. I mean, last year there was a lot of uncertainty. Which, I mean, obviously that comes with, getting traded day after the lockout and, coming over to a new team, completely new area. Never been to Arizona until last year. So yeah, a lot of uncertainty, not knowing where I sat and things. And, going into this spring, there's obviously a lot more confidence going into it because, I kind of know where my role is. And, I figured out through last season, through the struggles and, also the blessings of last year, who I am as a pitcher and where I need to be most successful to help the team out. So, going into that, it's a lot better feeling going into a spring training after that. And then, yeah, obviously, like you said, fortunately being in the big leagues last year for quite a while, I didn't have to work this off season, which is, nice. I'm able to put more time into, training, nutrition, sleep. So yeah, it's a lot better feeling, obviously.
For me, watching you last year and watching the growth and obviously the struggle struggles early starting. There was a point last year where the light turned on. And I talk about it all the time with professional athletes. It doesn't matter what sport I've covered, right? At some point, it just everything you've been working on, mentally preparing, taking care of your body, all the different things start to click. I felt that for you last year. Did you feel like there was a time, and how did that feel?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it was the first start against Houston right before the All-Star break, where I got brought back up and threw in Houston. Prior to that, I was up in the big leagues for a month as a reliever. Got sent down, and when they sent me down, they pretty much told me like, "Hey, listen, like you got to work on your fastball command. We need you to be throwing fastballs for a strike, and so when you go down, that's what we want you to do is throw fastballs." And it's frustrating, obviously, at first having to do that, but I did it, took it in stride, and came back up, and obviously, I threw more strikes, which led to more success. And then the biggest thing was just game planning in general. Prior to that, it was just kind of like, go over the scouting report that they give me and then just go with it. But I wasn't doing any of my own actual work. And I took the time with thankfully we had Stephen Vogt last year, and Voter kind of took me under his wing a little bit with the whole scouting report and like how to look at hitters, look at metrics, analyze things, and not only just get a generic view, but actual view of like how they do off of me. And I took that time to write my own scouting reports, to use theirs and mine, and study them actually. So it led to feeling a lot more confident on the mound going into the starts. You didn't have that panic beforehand because you don't really know how you're going to approach the day. So yeah, it was a combination of working on the fastball command like they had asked me to do, and then also just taking things in my own hands as far as scouting report and focusing on what I need to be doing, because at the end of the day, like, this is our job. So
All of that I absolutely love. It's an analysis. It's about growth. Too many people out there watching, fans think that, oh, get ball, throw ball hard, I get to the big leagues. And there's so much more to that, so much to a game plan, how to attack hitters, learning how to do that, learning how to be a pro and learning how to be a pro at the big league level. It's not easy to do. It's great to hear. And your role, which to me, since we don't have guys go 30 plus starts a year, we don't have guys go. I'm looking at Dave Stewart up here, A's Hall of Famer behind you. When you're talking about a guy going 260 innings, we don't have that anymore. So you need a lot of different guys to start. And where I see such great value for you right now in your career is the fact that I can start you right now. I can bring you out of the bullpen. Talk about just how comfortable you are in that role and being so versatile.
yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny. Like up until last year, I think the last time I had ever relieved in a game was in 2017, when I was injured at the beginning of the year in spring training, and so they kind of eased me in. So I was a reliever for a little bit, and still ended up starting at the end. So last year when they asked me, they're like, we're gonna put you in the bullpen and try you out, and I was like, okay, like I don't really know what I'm doing on it, but like
yeah,
if it keeps me in the big leagues, I'll do it, and I'll go for it, and we'll do our best that I can. And I actually had pretty decent success when I was in the bullpen, and it is a lot different, obviously, than starting. As far as like your recovery and how you go about your day to day, doing the recovery things inside. Yeah, honestly, I've never really had an issue with switching back and forth. I've always been kind of like you got your day after and your day two sore guys. I've always been a day two guy, so as far as like throwing in a game for an inning or two, I was always fine with going back to back. So yeah, I feel like the versatility is going to be huge for me this year. Being able to do both things, and at the end of the day, I'm just here to do whatever team needs from me, and hopefully stay up in the big leagues all year doing both.
No doubt. And thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. I know it's a little chilly here this morning, but continued success, stay healthy, and we'll see you back in Oakland.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Boom. You know what you heard there? The mental side of the game. We talked about earlier about the 15 seconds to 20 seconds, anxiety, pitcher loses his release point. Now he doesn't have a lot of time. He starts. What did Adam Oller say right there? Like the progression of, I had to learn myself. I had to learn how to get people out. I had to learn a game plan, my own game plan. Stephen Vogt taking me under his wing and helping me through. There's this process of how to compete and be good at this level. And it's not physical. Now, with Kaprielian, we talked about it. It's physical for him staying healthy. But if you are healthy, this is a mental game. What was the Yogi Berra?
Oh, 80, wasn't it like 80%?
Give me the Yogi Berra. Give me it. The Yogi Berra is great. I should know this offhand.
It was, baseball's 90% mental. The other half is physical.
Yes, there you go. There you go. But I mean, Adam Oller just breaking it down there about how things started to change for him was the mental side and preparation. Wasn't throwing harder. Was anything about the stuff that you care about?
Yes.
No, you care about spin rates and you want to go to Baseball Savant and look at all the numbers.
I like hearing stuff about.
He didn't say anything about numbers.
No, I like hearing about guys and mental stuff, mainly because that's big with me. But
from your baseball fandom, it's always about numbers.
I want to know what his RPMs are on this breaking ball.
Everything that he said that he got better was his mental side and approach and attacking hitters and people helping him do it. That's the thing. It's like you get up here to this level and you're a robot and a thrower. You got no chance. You have to be a pitcher. To get outs, you got to be a pitcher. And you have to have the mental side of the game. And Adam Oller really just I thought it was a really good conversation. He really just took us through it.
Yeah, and I want to see him bounce back because we know the story of him. Kid was like, wasn't he like in the offseason working at like was it him as a teacher, or he was working like Home Depot? He was originally drafted by the Pirates, and then he came back and had a great year with the Mets, and then he's in the deal for Bassett. Struggled to start, and then he started pitching well at the end of the year last year for the A's. The mental side of it's great. Remember, Sean Manaea told us it was all about conviction for him. Remember, the light went on for him. The light went on for Manaea. 20? Is that 21? Yeah, 21. I think is when we talked to him. He talked about conviction, and he got better. And that's something that I think players are starting to dabble into the mental side of it. And I think that's great for the sport because it's an untapped resource in baseball, I think, for sure. And I think we're starting to see a little bit more, and we're seeing it firsthand with some guys we saw today with Oller and Cap, with having that Cap's mentality. Kyle Moller saying he wants to be the guy. He's done with the minor leagues. Yeah. I think we've learned a lot the last couple of days from some of our starters.
Totally. Like we're and what we learned, you've learned. And that's the point of A's Cast and A's Cast Live being down here is everything we've learned, we've given to you. And now we're all going to sit back. And so when Kyle Moller takes the mound, you're going to be like, oh, this is that guy. This is that big left-hander the A's got in the Sean Murphy trade who's got conviction and he's got bravado. This is that guy. Oh, Cap's taking the mound. He's saying he's healthy. Blackburn has that I'm the leader of the staff mentality. Now you've learned that kind of stuff from A's Cast being down here that you can now kind of take into into this spring training and start to watch as this team starts to slowly come together. Who's going to be the 26th that goes north? But as we know, there's a lot of different players on the 40-man roster, guys who are not on the 40-man roster who are going to play a part in this year's team.
Yeah, and a guy for sure that, we're going to hear from shortly, Kevin Smith is another guy that he went down to Vegas and kind of figured some things out the last month. Became, what do we call him, the Barry Bonds or Babe Ruth or Hank Aaron, whatever home run hitter.
Can you find his month? Well, Baseball Reference breakdown, it does big leaguers, but it does minor league season. His month, because if you listen to the games on A's Cast or the A's Radio Network, I do 2 hits a game, and at the end of the 5th inning, I do something on the minor leagues. So I read the guys that had the big day. Well, it's like every single day, Kevin Smith was doing something. And it was like 2 for 4, 3 for 5, 3 for 4, 4 for 4, 2 grand slams, 2 home runs, a home run, 2 doubles. I mean, it was like there was points where I thought, like, am I just reading the same report that I did the day before? How's this guy? It was every day. He had literally one of the best months you can have. Fran Reardon, the skipper of Las Vegas, we taped today, you'll hear next week in the pregame show, talked about, wow, it was extraordinary to watch. I mean, it's a month that, it's how Babe Ruth and Barry Bonds felt in their career.
Yeah, I need more time to find it. But it was like 11 home runs in the last like month. Like I think it was September and October. He had like 11 home runs in that last month. It was like what Shea did earlier. To remember how Langler's out of the home runs early in Vegas, and then Kevin Smith like just ended the year with it.
Yeah, and let's say he goes off this spring. What do you do?
Because he was a big part of the Chapman trade. I mean, unfortunately, he already gave up. Zach Logue's out of the picture now. Hoagland's hurt or was hurt last year, and so you have Kirby Seen and Kevin Smith who are on the big league team that you want production out of for a guy where you gave up a guy you knew what you're going to get out of him. You're going to get a lot of power, not a lot of contact and average. Struck out a lot, but played excellent defense. So if you can get something out of a couple guys for him, great. But you haven't got that yet.
What do you do if he hits? What if he starts mashing?
I think you have to put him in the lineup, right?
I mean, he was in the lineup last year out of spring. Unfortunately, things didn't go his way. But if he ends last year the way he did and he mashes, how is Kevin Smith not in the lineup?
He hit for the cycle last year for Vegas too. I know people don't care about the cycle, but he hit for the cycle. He had a great last month and a half for Vegas.
It was incredible.
And we're hoping we get to see that in a big league team. I mean, what he did last year at the end, it gave you hope because what happened when he started here, it wasn't great. But now he has some optimism and hope, and future is different. His life's a little different now, so hopefully that's more of a reason to figure it out and get going. He's still young. I think, what is he, 20? Still maybe mid-20s. I don't think he's that old. I mean, he's not 29. Every time you type in Kevin Smith.
No, he's not. He's not 29.
You bring in Kevin Smith, it brings up the guy from Jay and Silent Bob. He's 26. He'll be 27 on 4th of July. Still young.
I mean, it's interesting. Well, I got a chance to speak with him earlier today here at Ho-Ho-Cam Stadium. Yes, Kevin Smith is with us here at Ho-Ho-Cam Park, and it's been a while since we last talked. How are you?
Great, man. How you doing?
We're doing well. So how was the off season? I'm sure you didn't want it to come the way you ended the season down in Vegas. It was crazy, but how was the off season?
It was great, man. Spent a lot of time with the family, spent with my wife, got married in the off season. So a lot of exciting things happening, but excited to get back on the field and start playing again.
So I was just telling you off the air, and I've talked about this on this show. So everybody knows during the season in the 5th inning, I got to do a minor league report on the broadcast. And I get a sheet every single day of what happens at every level. And as AAA, like the last month, I kept getting the sheet, and it's got you going 3 for 4, 2 for 4, 2 home runs, home run and a double. And at one point I thought, am I just reading the same thing over and over? I mean, it was your last month was incredible.
I appreciate it.
What was that like?
It was fun, man. Everybody kind of has those few weeks or a month that you just hope turn into 2, 3, 4, then turn into years. But then you never really want them to end. So it's just one of those months where everything was clicking. We were having fun as a team. The guys really, jived together, and we just enjoyed being at the park.
They talk about the zone. We don't know how you get into it. We don't know how you stay in it. I mean, but some people in their career are able to get in it more often than not. Right. Some people only get into it once. I mean, you just never know. Do you feel like you were in the zone?
Yeah, I mean, you never really know when you're in it, right? You kind of look back over the last 2-3 weeks, and then you go, shit, I might have been in it the last month or so. But that's kind of the goal, is to be in it as much as you can. And, I think the more you focus on it, the less you actually get in it. It's more about just being relaxed and trusting your preparation, and it kind of shows out on the field. So that's kind of what I've always worked on, is just trying to trust what I'm doing and the work that I'm putting in before the game. And then, hopefully you start putting some good at-bats together, and those turn into good games, and those turn into good months.
Okay, so last year when we were talking, obviously you were getting the opportunity. You're up with the big club. You get hurt early with the play at first base, kind of derailed you a little bit. What do you think happened last year, and how do you change that?
Yeah, I mean, getting traded to a new team and a new org, trying to learn a lot of new faces. a new part of the country. I had a lot of injuries that I was trying to play through and not be off the field and help the team as much as I could. And obviously didn't really, perform to the level that I expect to or that I want to. So I was happy with the last month that I put in and finally was healthy for, 2 months and had a great 2 months. Then obviously just went into the off season, focusing on what was working well those 2 months and then just trying to work on some stuff that I want to get better at.
Yeah. People don't understand, if you are hurt, and you are working on stuff before the game, after the game, just trying to be able to play and then go out and compete at the highest level really doesn't work. But you got to do it. It's how it happens. Just talk about how tough that is to where you're just trying to get your body right. And then for 3 hours, you got to go perform at the big league level.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm not one for excuses. I mean, the best in the world do it every day.
It's a reality.
It's a reality, and the best athletes in the world overcome it, and they learn how to perform when they're hurt, when they're not hurt, when they're tired, when they're up all night with their kids. So, for me, I still expected, when I was at 70% or 80% to go out there and perform like I expect myself to. Obviously, I didn't do it, and so, to spend this off season and really weren't any injuries where I could have did anything different with my body or prepared better or anything like that. It was just kind of freak incidents, not muscle related or soft tissue related like we talk about. So, those weren't really things in my control. Those are just, playing hard in the game and things happen. But, just trying to learn how I could do better. And obviously being in a new club and trying to perform and having high expectations for myself along with getting hurt made it a little tougher on myself. And I definitely made it tough on myself last year, but just trying to have a clean season this year and go out and play without injuries and put up numbers, help the team win.
And the great news is you're still in the fight, and there's a fight for jobs. There's a fight for at bats. You're right in that with quite a few guys. That's got to excite you that you can build off what you did at the end of the last year. You tear it up here, and you're right back where you want to be.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that makes it fun, especially at camp like this with a lot of competition. I think it's going to bring out the best in everybody. I think everyone's going to go out and have a great camp, and then just let the chips fall where they may. And you really can't do anything about it. That's what's awesome about being in an organization like this, where everyone's young and we're putting pieces together to have a great team. And so everyone here wants to be a part of that and wants to have their piece of the pie. So it's exciting to kind of see everyone working hard and wanting to be that guy for the team. And I'm definitely one of them.
Yeah, the worst case scenario, when I think about it and I think about you, the worst case scenario is if you got out to a hot start and ended bad.
Right.
You ended great. So we talk so much about, hey, how are you doing physically? But mentally, how much did that strengthen you and make you a better player by the way it started and the way you finished and how you feel now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's happened, every step of my career. I was never, a top prospect. I was never a huge guy at any level. I always kind of went up with kind of unknowns and no one really knew who I was or no one really had big expectations for me, but I always had them for myself. So, it was always that little stepping stone and a little learning curve of how to compete at that level, what the competition's like. The game changes every level you move up. So I think the guys that can go to the level and struggle and fail and then make adjustments and come back better, those are the guys that you hear about for 5 or 10 years, and that's kind of what everyone in that clubhouse wants to be. So it's kind of getting past, you want to go up and you want to succeed right away, but you also want to be in the game for 5 or 10 years and not be the guy that has one good year and then you never hear about him again. So I think a lot of guys in the clubhouse think like that. They want to be here for 5, 10 years and build something special, and so that's kind of the goal right now.
Well, we'll end on this. You're going to be moving the family from Nashville here to Arizona. The last 2 days, I would have said bad idea. Today actually is like a great spring training day. But that's going to be a big move for you coming out here, moving in, move to Arizona full time.
Yeah, we've been out here a few times. My wife's family's from out here, so like 2 out of the last 5 years we've been in Arizona. We've been in Nashville, so we're gonna move back out here full time. Make sure we can work out with some of the guys, and the weather's a little better, like you said. So we're going to look forward to having some time outside in the off season and join the family.
Well, you know what it's like to be Babe Ruth or Barry Bonds for a month. That's what you were. So I'm excited for your spring training. If you build off what you did at the very end of last year, it's going to be an exciting year for you. Stay healthy. I hope you go out and rake, and we'll see you in Oakland.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Give the numbers of what he did in the final part of the season there in September for the Aviators.
So from September 9th on with the Aviators, with Fran Reardon, the greatest leader of men.
A leader of men.
he hears it all. He hit 11 home runs and drove in 19 runs from September 9th on. From the 9th of September till the end of the month, there's no October games. He hit 11 home runs.
I mean, that's incredible.
He had 365 for the month.
Incredible.
365 for the month, 11 homers, 19 runs driven in, like a 799 OPS.
That's incredible.
So hopefully he can figure it out and bring it to Oakland. I mean, he's not the thing about him too is he's not a big muscle guy. He found something in his swing and he was hitting home runs last year in Vegas. I don't know if it's
he was hitting everything.
Yeah,
what was his average during that time?
365.
365, 11 home runs, 19 RBIs, and how many games?
That would have been in the month of September. So I didn't see how many total games it was, but from the 9th on, he had 11 home runs. I didn't have they didn't do the batting average, just did the home runs.
I mean, he literally was in the zone.
Yeah, and his OPS for the month was almost 800. It was 799.
Good for him. Great stuff. Great stuff. You want great stuff? Coming up next, I'm going to fawn over him. I will, because he's one of my favorites. Each spring, we've been able to get our buddy Jim Duquette on. We get him during the season. The Duke, as they call him. Longtime executive, now is on Sirius XM, one of the big dogs of the MLB channel on Sirius XM, channel 89. We talk about all the time. We took Mike Farron, his partner, to dinner the other night. Well, I took him to dinner. You were just there on the free tab yourself.
Yeah. It's a good dinner. That was a good spot.
So when the bill came, what happened?
We all said the same thing. Oh, we all forgot our wallet.
Oh, yeah. Townie's got it. So we took Mike Farron to dinner the other night. And, Jim Duquette, first of all, their show, The Power Alley, is unbelievable, Monday through Friday. And then the front office show, Sunday mornings, where he partners with also former general manager Jim Bowden, who's crazy. Together, their show is unbelievable.
Jim Squared is Dallas Braden.
Dallas Braden was on last Sunday they were doing the AL West preview. They had our own Dallas Braden and the two Jims. He called it Jim Squared. We will talk to Jim Duquette, the Duke, next right here on A's Cast Live.
It's that time of the year. Single game tickets are now on sale for the 2023 season. Secure your tickets for some of the biggest matchups, fireworks, drone shows, giveaways, and more. From opening weekend against the Angels to the 50th reunion of the 1973 World Series team, unique giveaways like Pit Viper glasses. There is so much happening at the ballpark this season. Don't miss out on other homestands as we take on the Giants, Padres, Yankees, Cubs, and Braves. Visit athletics.com/tickets to get yours now. That's athletics.com/tickets.
The Oakland Athletics begin spring training on February 25th. Now's the time to make plans to catch us in Mesa, Arizona, and enjoy the sunshine of your family and friends. Buy your tickets early for the best seats at the lowest prices as your green and gold take on the Giants, Dodgers, Padres, Angels, and more at Hohokam Stadium.
And Tony, it's a deep drive to right in the corner. Gritchick going back. He'll turn and watch it fly.
Get your tickets at athletics.com/spring. That's athletics.com/spring.
Chevron with Techron has unbeatable engine cleaning power, and it gives you unbeatable mileage for all kinds of unbeatable destinations. Like time in the sun at the beach, or time in the sun riding roller coasters, or a day in the sun hiking mountains. Well, probably just one mountain would be enough for a day, but hiking a mountain is still an unbeatable choice for how to spend time. Download the Chevron app now to get unbeatable mileage at locations near you.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is a national brand with family-owned prices and service. You can shop at one of their Barrier locations, and all stores are sanitized and safe, or you can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
A's GM David Force stopped by A's Cast Live to talk about Shintaro Fujinami.
Yeah, you don't do a whole lot of press conferences. What do it mean, as we're just going to call him Fuji, as you get your big right-hander, really like a small forward? I didn't realize he was this tall.
He's a big dude. Yeah, even when Billy walks in and says, damn, he's big, you know that he's a big guy. So it's been fun getting to know him over the last few days and spending some time with him. But I mentioned earlier our guys in Asia did a great job with scouting, and it was great to be able to bring this one in.
Yeah, I when I learned about the signing, we were actually down in Arizona at the time at fantasy camp and started looking him up and trying to remember him from the World Baseball Classic. He was like a $175, $180 in these, and then you now look at him. He's put on weight.
Yeah,
he's filled out. Just talk about what you've seen, especially we've heard the last 3 months about velocity in the split finger.
Yeah, I mean, you think about a guy who's been in the big leagues for 10 years over there, and you don't think about a guy who's still really developing, but he was in the big leagues at 18 years old. So he's really, matured over his career, obviously went through some difficulties in 16, 17 with command. He even spent some time in the minors the past couple of years, but we really did a good job following him through the minor leagues, staying on him, and his last month and a half in Japan, he made a couple starts in August where he dominated, and we watched a lot of video, talked a lot about him leading into the off season, and then really just stayed on this deal until we got it done.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast.
This is Chris Townsend for the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. Great news! Our indoor dining is back, along with our beautiful patio dining. Come taste our world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 83 years. The Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek has one of the most dynamic menus, plus a full bar. Pot pies, gourmet burgers, sandwiches, salads, flatbreads, and more. Don't forget, we still do takeout and delivery. For all the information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Humanity has accomplished a whole lot so far. We created penicillin, the automobile, and the internet, not to mention drones, duct tape, and the hot dog. It's all thanks to the power of human connections. And RingCentral's here to make that even easier, more seamlessly and securely, on a platform built to grow your business. Say hello to a whole new way to say hello. Visit ringcentral.com and say hello to possibilities. RingCentral. Message, video, phone, together.
A's Cast Live continues from the town. Here's Chris Townsend.
Our favorites now every spring training. The great Jim Duquette joins us from Sirius XM, and you can hear him every single morning here on the West Coast Power Alley. And I try and tell him it's Sunday morning when you have Sirius XM and you have the app, you can favorite it. The show that you do on Sunday morning with Jim Bowden, Jim Squared is recently, our friend Dallas Braden called it.
Yes, he's got it squared, man. We're going to have to do something, a copyright action or something like that for Jim Squared, because they kept referencing it, and I kind of like the sound of it.
I did too. That show that you guys do and the guests, because you get all of it's called The Front Office. You guys get all of the power brokers in baseball. It really is special because it's 2 hours of just knowledge. I mean, what you two were talking about the other day about just, this arbitration thing's ugly. I mean, we were just going through how a Rays player did a whole thread about how he was fighting the Rays for $200,000.
Right.
You guys were talking about Corbin Burns. Like, what are we doing? But you understand how the league wants you to set precedents. I mean, but is there a better way to do it? It's all that kind of stuff, the inside stuff that you guys give us that you can't get anywhere else.
Well, I mean, we've said it because we were in the room, and Bowden, he makes me laugh because he kind of sometimes forgets how he acted in that room. Like, he was so competitive, and he would crush his own players because he wanted to win. And so now he's taking a different tang. He goes, I probably shouldn't have done that. Sean Casey, one of the, he's the mayor, right?
Yeah.
He's the mayor of Cincinnati, for crying out loud, unofficial. He crushed Sean Casey in the arbitration room. I think Sean is still bitter about it, but he would never say that to Bowden because he's like the nicest guy ever. But when you have to criticize somebody, the way I describe it is like this: you go into your boss and you go for an evaluation and a potential pay raise. And if they focus more on your negative qualities than your positive qualities, even if they give you a raise, how do you feel about it at the end of the day? Your focus, natural tendency is to focus on the negative, and not everybody can handle that negativity, especially pro players, because they're not used to being criticized like that. So at the end of it, it's such a flawed process. We don't need it. We really don't. I think the players think they do, but we could negotiate a system that gives them and rewards them for the best players in the 3+ service time class and 4+. Somebody like Paul Blackburn as a starter, 3+ guy, he shouldn't have to go to arbitration. He was an all-star for the A's. Factor in where he fits into the pay scale and pay him appropriately and just move on. And it's not that hard, but yeah, players, the teams don't really want it. The players do, and so the teams are like, well, if we're in there, we're gonna go to win. And so it becomes acrimonious, like in the Corbin Burns situation sometimes.
I like the idea that you guys talked about where you have the league have a group, the union have a group, they fight it out, keep the team out, keep the player out. So whoever wins, you can't complain.
Right.
And there's no personal part to it, because what's happening, and it really sounds like, and you're right, if I went in there and I said, I got great numbers, I got all these downloads, we're the number one podcast in baseball, right? There's no question we're number one for all the teams. But you want to throw shade on me? I'm going to be angry.
Well, and they find everything wrong with, and it becomes nitpicky to some degree. Corbin Burns, in that particular case, the team said he took it out as saying, well, we didn't get to the postseason because of the way he pitched down the stretch. He had a 10-start stretch where he had an ERA that was mid-4s last season. Well, the reason why, quite honestly, the Brewers didn't get to the postseason is because they traded Josh Hader and they didn't realize the impact on the clubhouse. A factor might have been how other guys performed down the stretch, Burns and others, but he wasn't the reason why they didn't get in the postseason. They disrupted the entire culture with one trade, like Jerry DiPoto did in Seattle the year before when he traded Kendall Graveman, and you saw that whole thing, and they missed out by a game or two in the postseason. So some of these GMs are finally getting the understanding that chemistry matters in the clubhouse, and that during the season you really shouldn't be disrupting it. And I think that moving forward, I think teams will be less likely to trade major league players off of their roster because of the impact that it has inside the clubhouse.
Well, if I'm using technology and I'm Amazon and I'm just putting products into boxes and shipping boxes, the data will only matter. But if I'm dealing with actual human beings, kind of shocker how human beings interact with each other and communicate and live together and travel together. That actually matters, how that all works.
Well, some of these guys, some of these owners, and the general managers are guilty of it too, but they feed their owners like, listen, the chemistry is overrated. You can't, part of it is you can't measure it, right? That's a big problem when in the analytics world. What is a win worth, and what is chemistry? What is good chemistry? And we used to debate this to the end of time. Like, which comes first, the winning or the chemistry? Do you have good chemistry because you won, or do you win because you had good chemistry? No one has the answer to that. Right. If you did, that'd be the secret. But, I know this, when you've been on bad teams, the best chance to get out of a bad cycle is if you have good chemistry. First time you don't have good chemistry on the team, what do they say? The first people that items that jump off a sinking ship are the rats, right? The rats are the guns that are gone. We used to use that analogy all the time. Those are the guys that you don't want in your clubhouse. So if you don't have any rats on your ship, you have a better chance of turning the course and maybe winning. So I don't know. It's for me. But some of these owners, like, they have real estate companies. Well, there's no building that's talking back to you, or they're not giving you feedback on on the house that you just bought. So when you have these interactions with human beings and they actually have feelings, they're like, boy, they're surprised that they got mad because you said that. What are you surprised about here? You don't have a feel for having communication with individuals, So I think that the general manager's role as part of this evaluation is also to understand what's important in the clubhouse, and not enough GMs, I don't think, have that feel, or they don't put as much meaning into it as I think they should. And I really think at the end of the year, when we're sitting there in the postseason, we go, as we go and spend time at every postseason game. We're doing pre and post game for the LCS and World Series. There's usually one common denominator, and you can tell it as soon as you walk into the clubhouse. It's a great winning culture, and you see it and you feel it. It's actually palpable. And when you don't have good clubhouse chemistry, you see it early. I do instantly. And so I think that, if a team spent a little bit more time in that area, I think you might see some better results.
So we've been down here for a few days. We're talking to all these guys. We lost 102 games last year.
Yes, you did.
We were bad.
Yeah.
64 players used record in Oakland history.
Yeah.
I can tell you what I've seen, the confidence, the talent. I don't know what we win. We're not losing 102.
Right.
We are going to be better, and there are some gems in there.
Yep.
I think we surprised some people with some of the talent. I wish we still had Cole Irvin.
Yeah.
I got to call it as I see it. I think
Yeah,
we'd be a better team with him. I thought he was a guy that would give us close to 30 starts, 200 innings. It really hurts, but it is what it is. But I think we will be better. You've now been here for a day. What do you think?
Well, I agree with you. And, I think that a little underrated aspect to the team last year was right at the beginning of spring training, you had a disruption with the trades, right?
Yes.
Olsen, gone. Manaea, gone. Obviously Murphy is traded in the winter, but that helps, I think, not having that kind of disruption now. And so you can focus on the team and you can kind of move forward and actually legitimately turn the page, which is what Mark Kotsay and the organization is talking about. But I do think that, like Fujinami, his stuff is electric. We'll see how it translates on the mound in the command. I think he's exciting. And we know Kaprielian and Blackburn are going to be, hopefully they'll be 25 to 30 starts each. And if those guys do that and Waldichuk ends up growing the way we think he will, and Sears at some point, some of the young guys, one of the things I wanted to try to get an answer on in here is, at what point are you going to look at your young players like Soderstrom, Geloff, those guys, and if they're ready, bring them up? And they said, well, that's going to be the great discussion. When they're ready, we think we're going to bring them up because they're going to be mostly in AAA. Well, that to me is some good news there in Oakland, that you actually have internal options that are legitimate, fun guys, and something that you're going to build long-term with. So I think that last year was the year that they bottomed out. In the outside chance they lost 100 games again, it will feel different, I think, because you could start to see some of the progress that they're going to make and some of these young players come on the scene. So I'm with you. I feel like this team is better. They have a little more experience, with May in the bullpen. Obviously, we know what Jackson was last year. I think their bullpen will be better. They had a lot of one-run games last year that they lost. So they only have to turn around a couple of those, right, to end up in the 90, somewhere in the 90s losses. And I think that's legitimate for them if they can stay healthy.
Is it a little different for you for when you come here to A's camp and it's not Billy Beane anymore?
Yeah, it is a little bit. I've known Billy for a long time. I think that the fact that he's kind of at that point in his career winding down makes me feel old too, because I used to talk to Billy. I felt like he was a mentor to me as I was coming up as a young general manager, but young executive along the way. And I think, listen, David Forrest and Billy Owens and that whole group now, it's time for them to take the reins and move forward. Hopefully the stadium situation gets resolved like they've talked about at the end of this year. And you can start to look at some of those things from a positive standpoint, no matter where they are, if it's in Oakland or Vegas, wherever. I know obviously the idea is to keep them there in Oakland. Let's hope that happens. But I'm surprised. I'm happy that Billy's gotten to that point in his career. But they've turned it over to a good group, as you guys know. They've been here for a long time and they don't have a lot of turnovers, which is nice.
In our game, we've talked a lot about this. We were talking a lot about it at the winter meetings in San Diego, where you start to see we've got a handful of teams who are spending and a bunch who aren't.
Yep.
And my whole thing about the CBA when we got out of it last year, I thought it was just duct tape. I'm not saying that all the players. No. We're leading up to a fight that's coming up here when this thing ends.
Right.
But as someone who's been around it, the economics of the game. How worried are you that we got a handful spending a lot and a lot of people who aren't, and downhillers, they're not happy with the system?
Yeah.
Just are you worried?
Well, I always wonder when the owners are fighting among themselves. That's never a good sign, right? It's never a good sign for the commissioners, never a good sign for the sport. And I think that we have some time to kind of sort out over the next 4 years. We're not even a full year into this new CBA, and you're already hearing owners complaining about it. Now, if you go back 10 years, when they negotiated that CBA, right out of the gate, players were complaining about it. And then the next time they negotiated, which was 5 years ago, we all thought once it was negotiated that the players lost that one too. So they've had 2 cycles of losing these CBAs. And by the way, it played out that way. Like the owners had basically had won both of them. So it's time for the owners to kind of wear one of these days, And so I'm sorry, guys, you're going to have to figure it out on your own. No one's going to have sympathy unless, among yourselves, maybe you have sympathy, right? But the fans shouldn't have sympathy for billionaires fighting over billions of dollars. Like, it doesn't really translate to the average fan or to the average front office. So, I think that's the hard part is, right, the A's payroll last year was $40 million. And the Mets payroll this year without any taxation is $296 million. Like, that separation is the largest gap I think I've ever seen, both in dollars and percentage. And so that's not good for the sport. What we do know, though, with Oakland and some of these other small market teams, that they've found a way to win. They just haven't been able to sustain it longer. So until they're able to figure out a way to share all the revenues, we're going to have this disparity. And I think even the commissioner said, hey, if we don't get the disparity of revenues situated, we'll never be able to have a salary cap whatsoever. So the salary cap is meaningless, less meaningful. So I don't know. At the end of it, I don't think there's any desire to have a salary cap from the player side. I don't think we'll ever negotiate that. But I do think that in year one, there's always these rocky decisions that are made. Let's wait a couple more years and see if that still plays out and if the owners are still upset about this one. I don't see the Mets, by the way, spending where they're going to be, $100 million taxation rate every year. They don't want it. He doesn't want to keep doing that. He just realizes when he took this team over, it had a lot more to do than he thought. I think that's the interesting thing there.
Speaking of the Mets, and we'll end on this, as I tell everybody, as someone who's been in this business for about 30 years, Power Alley is my favorite show. I listen to it all the time. I listen to it on the range, when I'm putting, when I'm getting ready to tee off. I'm always tuning these guys in. So I recently took your partner to dinner down here. Yeah. I took Farron to dinner, which, taking Farron to dinner is not cheap.
It's definitely not cheap.
It's not cheap.
Should have turned that around and made him pay, but
not cheap.
Some other day.
But I always appreciate you guys taking care of us here. So we know the Gucci loafer story.
Yeah, it's still a sore spot in my lifetime.
So do you have the picture, Cody, of the we have loafers that we are going to be sending you?
Yes.
We need to know your shoe size.
I'm a 10.5 shoe size, and these are faux Gucci loafers. He showed me the picture earlier, but I'll take any Gucci loafers. I've been waiting for my previous owner of the Mets to send them to me since I made the Roger Cedeno trade back in 2004. I saved him $500,000. You would have thought that he could have taken maybe $1,500 of those dollars and given me a pair of Gucci loafers like he promised. I'm still waiting for them. I know they're in the mail somewhere, but maybe until I get them,
since the Wilpons,
I'll put yours on.
Since the Wilpons did not take care of you, and you've been so good to us here at A's Cast Live,
all right.
I took Farron to dinner. I'm going to make sure you get some loafers.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. I will take credit for your low golf handicap. Since you listened to us, and we must be able to calm your whatever or maybe it's just a mindset. Hitting the ball straight. If we can benefit that, then let's call it even.
Loafers are on the way, my friend.
I love it. Thank you for that.
Hey, seriously, I love your
guys'
guys' show.
Always
second
pleasure.
to none. And on Sunday, the front office, it is good as you're going to get baseball talk. What you guys do, I know that there could be a day someday you go back into front office work.
Yeah,
I'm hoping. For us personally, I hope it doesn't because I think your work is as good as it gets.
I appreciate that. Thank you. We enjoy it. We definitely enjoy it. And you at least get a reprieve. You don't have to see Farron today. So
it's cheaper.
It's a win all the way around.
Thank you so much.
Right, see you guys.
The great Jim Duquette. Yeah, that guy has made a lot of big trades, a lot of big drafts, and now all of them. I mean, it's almost like we should get some money from SiriusXM. The stuff that you hear, and I'm not, I grew up in sports talk radio, but it's the information and the people now. It's so geared to specific. Okay, you're just talking Niners. Just Talking Warriors. If you like baseball, you're not going to, if you're not listening to us, you're not listening to A's Cast, I highly recommend the baseball channel on Sirius XM and the football channel. So the baseball channel is 89, football's 88, and I actually like the PGA Tour 92 when tournaments are going on, and of course NASCAR 91. I have no idea what they're talking about, but they're crazy and they're always angry.
Dave the Godfather Moody.
We need to get him on the show. He's funnier and he's angry. I'm telling you, NASCAR's got to get this right. NASCAR understands this isn't going to fly anymore inside NASCAR. And it's compelling. I mean, it's got me hooked, and I have no idea what he's talking about. We will be sending the Duke loafers.
Yeah, we found them on Amazon. We showed it on the interview. They were like $60 or whatever, cheap knockoffs.
But
they'll remember us forever.
But the thing is, with Jim Duquette, Jim Bowden, and Steve Phillips, they've got all these guys that were GMs, and they got them on the air. That's why that's what really separates their channel from everybody else. Is everybody else wants players, and I'm telling you, as great as players are, players ain't players. Players give you a lot of the same old
cliches.
They give you a lot of the same old. These guys are the guys that know the business. They know what it's like to deal with the owners. They know what the bottom line is like. They know what teams are making. They get it. They know the industry and the business. Players, they know the player side. And there's value to that, right? And we're all fans of the players. But when it comes down to the business of baseball and the inner workings, they don't know. They're players. They're coddled professional athletes in the clubhouse. Upstairs, where I'm looking right now, upstairs where all our front office, they're the guys that know. They know where the bodies are buried. They know the money's met. They know the money that's made, that's spent. They understand the actual business of our sport. Players don't. So then players go into our side, into the dark side, into the media, and they get asked the questions. And they try and act like they know, but people like us who are in the industry, we know they have no idea what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah.
All they know is they know the player side and the agent side. They don't know the inner workings of a front office.
The other guy we love too, but he's on TV. He's too big for radio. It's the great Dan O'Dowd. He's great too.
Dan is great. And friend of the program, Dan O'Dowd, who comes on from MLB Network. Yeah, I love the ex-GMs. They're fabulous. So, and they, like us, because they know the inner workings of the A's. They understand the A's. They understand the culture that Billy Beane set, that David Force is carrying on. They understand that. That's why they love coming on, because they've always had great relationships with our organization. Now, if we were an organization that was embattled with all, if we were Astros Live, we wouldn't be getting all these guys.
What would we call it? Astros Live. That just doesn't sound. But you're right. Yes, I'm sorry that I got stuck on the name. And
sounds dirty.
Yeah, what the Astros? Remember when you joked about with the Angels Cast Live, or we were joking about that years ago.
Hey Ray, hand me my bag. I want to get the bag over here, my backpack. I want to get the list of all the people that we've had. As he just throws my sweatshirts into the dirt like it's nothing. Thank you, Ray. I have a list. I do have a list briefly of everybody we have had, and I've made. We gotta get some.
So if you click the pen, you're going full Chris Jericho. You just made the list.
Is that what he used to say?
Yeah, that's what he did in WWE. Yeah.
Okay, Kevin Smith off the list. Who else do we have player-wise today?
Cap.
James Kaprielian, where are you with the K? James Kaprielian. So that's it. That's players, right?
Yeah.
All right. These are all the players we have had since we've been down. This is the 40-man roster. I'm going to be sending this to our boss, the great DA, Delaire Lewurs. I'm going to be sending this to DA. This is everybody. So you're seeing what headquarters is going to get. Paul Blackburn, Zach Jackson, James Kaprielian, Trevor May, Sam Moll, Kyle Moller, Adam Oller, J.P. Sears, Ken Waldachuk, Shea Langoliers, Nick Allen, Seth Brown, Tony Kemp, Ryan Noda, Kevin Smith, Connor Capel, Tyler Soderstrom, and Daniel Susak.
I think that's, if I counted correctly, 18.
In 3 days. To go with the manager, Mark Kotsay, Vice President, Steve Finelli, who you'll hear, Fran Reardon, who you will also hear the next coming weeks.
Emo.
Scott Emerson that joined us live.
Jim Duquette, obviously.
The great Jim Duquette from Sirius XM. A's legend, Grady Fuson, one of the great scouts in the history of the game.
Brody Brazil.
Blowout Brody, who, by the way, I'm gonna be real honest here. When this season starts and A's Cast Live appears on NBC Sports California, I think Dave Stewart and Shooty Babbitt, they owe Brody Brazil an apology. Will they be men enough to accept that and apologize? Pictures of Brody, ripping Brody, blew out a hamstring in his very first at-bat. Yes, seemed soft. It did seem soft. But my man Brody got back up on the horse, got to the plate, couldn't run, couldn't use his lower body, hit 600, and helped his team to the championship. So they were all ready to grill him all this.
Sorry, I'm just playing the video. Brody raking.
Brody rebounded. Dave Stewart and Shooty Babbitt owe Brody an apology, and Brody joined us here also.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just playing it because there was no audio. It's just what a beautiful swing Brody has.
A's Cast Live, we survived 40-mile-an-hour winds. We survived rain. We survived cold, and we've survived the heat. 3 days in the Valley of the Sun, bringing you everything you need to know about the Oakland Athletics in 2023. David Force, the general manager of the Oakland Athletics, will join us on Monday. The games start right behind us tomorrow, 12 o'clock.
Yep.
Right here on A's Cast, Bloomberg 860.
And you can watch the video stream on athletics.com, MLB.tv, and the NBC Sports app.
Games are going to be is every game going to be?
No. I have the schedule right here, actually. I'll add it. So you can see it on the stream here. The live streaming schedule tomorrow against Arizona, Monday against the Rockies, Tuesday against the Angels, Fuji versus Ohtani.
Ooh.
A
Tuesday game to start spring training normally isn't a highly attended game. I have a feeling there will be quite a few people here.
Oh, yeah. Let's see. Kansas City on March 3rd against the Rangers on the 10th, the Mariners on the 15th, the Giants on the 17th, the Southsiders, not the Northsiders, the Southsiders on the 24th, and the Brew Crew on the 25th. 9 games, live streaming. Athletics.com, NBC Sports app, and MLB.tv.
Here's a legit question. Sloan Park, where the Cubs train, also here in Mesa, Arizona, is that north, south, east, or west of us?
Oh.
I think it's that way.
Let's see. Google Maps.
Oh, actually, no, it's that way. It's that way. What are they they're the Northsiders in Chicago, but we're not in Chicago. Where are they in the Valley of the Sun? Those losers, the Cubs.
Let's see if they have.
They stink.
I don't know if they put the cardinal directions on here. It doesn't say. It doesn't give you the. I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
Well, hold on.
It doesn't matter.
Actually, they're west of us.
The East Siders.
No, they're west.
Oh, the West Siders.
See, here's where we are. Here's Hohokam, and then they're over here, so west of us.
It's a great ballpark. You get a chance. That might be my. Salt Lake is really cool. Camelback's cool, but I think Sloan's my favorite. It's got the most character. The Cubs ballpark here, which is not far from here, other than A's, is my favorite. It's really cool. They've got like, they try and make like a little Wrigleyville. They got a lot going on over there. So you get a chance, go over to the Cubs ballpark. Pretty cool. Not Brewers, Padres, and Mariners out in Peoria.
Oh, we had a good time.
No offense.
We had a good time. So, it's unfortunate.
This ballpark, beautiful. Look at it. It's beautiful.
Oh, do you want to, since we're at the end, do you want to do real quick, do you want to show what the right field looks like?
Yeah, go out to show. Will they be able to see it? Turn the camera, Ray, out to right field to see if they can see the party deck. Do you see it out there? Can you see it? Do they get to see it?
Might have to zoom it in a little bit on the actual camera.
Don't mess it up for when we say goodbye. But you get the idea. They're building a party deck out there that you'll be able to see. All right, that is going to do it for A's Cast Live from the Valley of the Sun. We want to thank everybody. We got to see the great Dave Cavill's here. Got to see him. He's hanging out with his mom. Pretty special. David Force is here with his son. It was good to see. David will join us on Monday.
We're on it.
Oh, I forgot. Mark Kotsay.
You said Kotsay already.
Did I say Kotsay?
Yeah.
Got to see Kotz today. Just want to thank everybody for having Mark Ling and his staff, Olivia. They were absolutely fantastic.
I hope Greg Korn made it to the Grand Canyon.
Greg Korn, if you didn't make it to the Grand Canyon with your beautiful girlfriend who came down to visit from the Bay Area to visit you because you said it was going to – there's no way it's snowing today at Grand Canyon with the sun out like this.
Yeah, probably not. I don't know, though. The weather's been so weird. I don't know.
Probably the biggest question we have leaving spring training, did Greg Korn go with his beautiful girlfriend to the Grand Canyon? If he didn't, he's got to answer to us when he gets back to the Bay Area.
Let me see.
Because this thing about snow, it's not snowing.
I'm texting him right now.
Well, we have to go because you're airport panic and you're texting Korn. I could talk for another hour. I still have to rip the Angels on Albert Pujols deal.
Well, we have 5 shows next week. We can do that. I texted him, so I don't think we'll get it. I don't think we'll get an answer from him in time.
All righty, we are out of here. When you see us next, we'll be back in the Bay. But tomorrow, spring training starts for the Athletics. It's that legendary matchup, the A's against the Snakes in the Valley of the Sun. 12:05 first pitch, pregame with Vince. Ken's involved, right?
Yeah.
Ken, Vince, Johnny is going to be.
Johnny will be here too.
Johnny will be here. So we got to get the music. Ken, Vince, and Johnny.
Yeah.
Ken, Vince, and Johnny. It's almost like a late night show. Hey, coming up tonight at 11 o'clock, it's Ken, Vince, and Johnny. So they will be doing the broadcast at noon, 12:05 first pitch. That's going to be Saturday and Sunday, both at noon. Monday, don't forget, 10 a.m., A's Cast Live will be your pregame show every single game Monday through Friday, taking up to noon. And then once the time changes, games will go to 1 o'clock when we catch up with Arizona. And will they, I guess, would we catch up to them? Or they drop to us?
No, we're flashing forward.
We're spring forward, fall back, spring. We spring forward and catch them.
Yeah.
They never change. Doesn't it show that you never have to change?
Greg Korn, no, he just
soft.
He went to Camelback instead.
He is soft. Absolutely soft. I've never been to the Grand Canyon.
Yeah, me either.
Shame on us. I've been coming to spring training for over 30 years. I've never been to the Grand Canyon. It's like 2 hours away. That's it.
Yeah, well, we're not here.
That's like a drive to San Francisco for me in traffic.
Yeah, we weren't here long enough to go to the Grand Canyon. Maybe next time.
Next year we go to the Grand Canyon. Bring the kids.
Do we have to stay the whole month?
No.
That's a lot. No. That's a lot.
I can only watch so much.
Spring.
I can only watch so many guys wearing 65 and 77 before I'm like, now if you want to play golf every day and do I can do that.
All right, quickly. Who's leading? Who's going to be the surprise home run leader for the A's in spring training? Remember how it's always a random guy for every team in the spring training.
I'll go Ryan Noda.
Jonah Bride.
Jonah Bride?
I'm just throwing out a name.
All right, I'm going to go Ryan Noda.
I was thinking him, but I thought that'd be too easy.
Ryan Noda's one of my new favorite players.
Jonah Bride.
This kid, the Rule 5 pick from the Dodgers. I know we're not selling jeans, as they said, Moneyball, but if they're jeans, you're buying. Big, good-looking kid with a ton of power and can play defense at first base. I am a huge Ryan Noda fan leaving this camp. Kyle Moller, huge Kyle Moller fan leaving this camp.
Same here. I'm excited for him. I mean, he wants to be the dude. We learned that the other day.
Madison Bumgarner comparisons.
That's a Giant, not a Diamondback.
Yes, factual. You're going to give me 33 start. What Bumgarner gave you 33 to 34 starts every year.
He was.
I mean, come on.
He was as close to an ace as the Giants had since Lincecum.
But I need somebody that gives me 33, 34 starts and 200 innings a year.
Yeah, and he doesn't want to be in the minor leagues anymore.
That's that kind of guy I got. All right, everybody. So long from the Valley of the Sun. Don't forget tomorrow we've got A's baseball right here on A's Cast at noon. First pitch 12:05, A's and Diamondbacks. And then, of course, you can watch all of our stuff, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and on YouTube, we'll start putting out all the different interviews and different stuff that we did here from the Valley of the Sun. But a great 3 days. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you on Monday right here on A's Cast and A's Cast Live.
Oakland Athletics spring training is right around the corner, and you can be part of the excitement. Get your tickets now and plan